Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Odin's Movie Vlog. I am the critic who is a cynic. How is everyone doing this evening? Happy Saturday to everyone. Hope that everyone's quarantine life is going well. Here in my city, we are currently under a stay-at-home advisory from the mayor of the city, so things have been basically completely shut down except for essential services. Parks have been closed. Even the place to hike, which is right near my house, has been shut down as well. It's crazy times. It is crazy times that we are living in. So I hope that you and yours are doing just fine. There's obviously a lot of things for us to consume nowadays. Last night we had a fantastic Friday Night Tights over on Nerdrotic's channel. I think he just uploaded the full video to his Nerdrotic Live channel. It was a lot of fun, just a lot of jokes to be had, great entertainment. I was able to stay on for about 3.5 hours, which is much more than I'm normally able to, normally able to stream because we started a little bit earlier over there, and so that was a blast. There's also new movies that have been released on video on demand and also on certain streaming services. One of which I actually saw earlier today, and today in tonight's stream is mostly going to be us talking about movies, me giving some movie reviews that I've not done for the channel yet. I was planning on doing them for the Welcome to Asgard channel, doing individual videos. What I probably will end up doing is taking this stream and then cutting them up into whatever segments there were for that specific movie review, and then putting those over on the secondary channel. But you all get it live, and of course we'll take time in between to talk about the things that you want to talk about the movies that you want to talk about, and also if you have your own thoughts on any of the films that I talk about tonight. But before we do that, let's go ahead and say hello to some people. So let's start over on D-Live. We got Captain Mr. Roy going, woo! What's going on, good sir? Captain Dean Heiss is here. What's going on? Captain Darkstar 57 is celebrating an 8-month sub streak. Thank you very much, Captain Darkstar 57, for being an 8-month sub. I really do appreciate that, man. You're awesome. Adam and the Clan, what is going on? He says, everything but laundry is closed. Do the laundry, you filthy animals. Yeah, pretty much. The post office was open today because that's obviously an essential service. I got a couple of movies sent to me from MVD, which, again, are films that I have never heard of before, but maybe I'll be able to give them a watch if I watch through everything else that I still need to. I still have a decent amount of films left on the Bruce list, and also a bunch of other films that have been recommended to me. But what is exciting is that I've uploaded pretty much every Blu-ray and DVD that I have accessible in my collection, including the 50 film collection I have from Warner Brothers. I shared a couple of images of that on Twitter the other day. All of those have been uploaded. Today, actually, I just got in John Carter because we have mentioned that, I think, either on the Chosen to Valhalla stream or behind the scenes at one point, and it reminded me just how much I actually enjoyed that film more than I thought. So I got that from eBay. That way, none of it went directly to Disney. Got it from a seller over there. Still had the codes and everything in it and everything. So I got that uploaded. So I'll probably watch that at some point as well. And so far, the Plex Media server that I set up has been very good. It just was actually the one film that I haven't watched completely yet, but I'm about maybe 20, 30 minutes away from finishing it, is the Peanut Butter Falcon. So I'm able to watch the digitized version of that I made, and I am loving that so far. But let's go dive into the YouTube chat. We got Josue Veguilla in the chat once again, coming in first. What's going on, good sir? Frank and the Clans over there. G's Monkey 76. We got Father Christopher Miller. Hail to you, Father. We got Tina B in the chat. Out of step with reality. How is it going, good sir? How's it going? And to answer your question that you asked me earlier, college was okay for me. It started off pretty rough because I had no idea how to manage my time. And then as the years went on and I realized what I wanted to study on and focus on, which I never fully understood completely, I definitely got through that midway point, was like, I guess I do love film, but I also realized that it would be very hard to pursue a future in film criticism because it's a very hard field to get into. And so I ended up had a minor in theology, and luckily I got that minor in theology because that's what helped me get the credits that I needed to be able to get into grad school for theology and get my master's in theology. So college was okay. There are a lot of really good memories from college. There's also some bad ones too, because I was not like a lot of the roommates that I had very early on, politically, religiously, a lot of differences. But if you're having struggles right now, it gets better. If you're early on in college especially, it starts off pretty rough, but it should get better as you go on. But just to answer that question from earlier, Superfan Adam Shawhan coming in with both accounts. Superfan, if you don't know, Adam Shawhan always has like 4 or 5 different accounts watching at the same time. So thank you very much for that, man. I really always do appreciate that. Oh, man, oh, man. Captain J-Ron, the beer guru, one of my Subscribe Star members. It's been a while since I've seen you over in D-Live, good sir. Just dropped a diamond over there and says, cheers, Odin. Well, thank you very much, Captain J-Rod. I appreciate it very, very much so. Thank you. Adam says, all good here. I found this and had to share with the D-Live crew. And it's an amazing picture of toilet paper. It's an amazing GIF, rather, of toilet paper being rolled up. Speaking of which, we're now down to our last 2 rolls here in the House of Asgard. The local Publix has been out the last 3 straight weeks because people are insane. I'm sure if I went to maybe the Walgreens or somewhere else like that, they might have some in stock. But basically, if they don't have any tomorrow when I do the grocery shopping, I'm going to have to check and see if there's any other places because, you know, now it's getting to dire straits. Because with 2 rolls, we can probably last ourselves another week or 2. But we want to make sure we have a little bit left over just in case. I still don't quite understand why people are obsessing over the toilet paper. We got 70B in the chat. What's going on, Steph? I see you in there. We got Dean Heiss over on YouTube as well. Hypern X13, Lobster 11. What's going on? Glinzer. What's going on, Glinzer? It's been a while since I've seen that name in the chat. Bruce is here. Apollo Patron, another name. Hail Greek mythology. And I love my blue Twilight women. Oh, that's very good to hear, Apollo Patron. Let's see here. Father Christopher Miller, Gloin the Hobbit is here. Both members on the channel. Thank you all very much again for being YouTube members. It does really help out a lot. Let's see here. Tina B says, Friday Night Tights was off the wall insane. And you did so well. You didn't sleep. That's very true. In the beginning, I definitely felt more out of place because there's just so many big personalities on there, and I always never want to dive in because I don't want to disrupt anyone or ruin the flow. And then eventually I just got comfortable with it, and it just became fun. It became so much fun. So if you have not seen the memes and everything that have popped up from that stream, you're missing out on a lot because it's pretty funny. It's inappropriate, but it's pretty funny. Mr. Peabody's in the chat. What's going on, Mr. Peabody? HyperNex13 says, good to see you, Odin. Doing well. Had a good laugh at the Doomscock joke that I saw through a tweet. Oh, man, you need to watch that thing live and the entire stream for that matter. It's that pretty good. It's that pretty good? Does that make any sense? No, it's that good. It really is that good. But thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Out of Step with Reality says, who ordered Final Fantasy 7 Remake? I didn't. I've actually never played the Final Fantasy games. As I've mentioned previously on the channel, I'm not a hardcore gamer. I played N64 when I was younger, and it was mostly just like the generic titles like 007 GoldenEye, which was a great game, Mario Kart 64, Star Fox 64, things like that. I never really dove too much into it. We had a Sega Genesis prior to that. Did Game Boy, Game Gear, very few games on the Game Gear overall, and then Nintendo Wii, and now I have a PS4, and the PS4 I've played through Spider-Man, started playing God of War. I need to get back to that, but I've been watching a lot of movies recently, and so that's kind of taken up more of my time, but I need to watch that. And then I have Zero Dawn Horizon, I think is another game I have, that came with the bundled package. I also have the Last of Us collection. So I need to play. So there's a lot of games that I can play, and I have the ability to play. Also, of course, I've got my Nintendo Switch, which I play every now and then too. Adam says, "Do you need me to mail you some TP?" Not at this point, man. We're not quite there yet, Adam. But I appreciate the love, man. I appreciate it. Captain High says, gotta get to the store at 7 a.m. to get any TP. But the only problem with getting to the store early like that is I know that in certain places they have those times set aside for the elderly, like for those 65 and older. So I don't want to go and then it's only for them and then I look like the jerk, right? So I guess that's one of the reasons why I haven't gotten up that early to go, but maybe I need to get there as early as I can. I'll have to check. As I said, we have not been really in dire straits yet, but we're getting there. Slicer Neons, what's going on, good sir? How is it going? Bruce says, Chip, cheerio, good sir, good sir. Hello there, cheerio. Cheerio to you, good sir. Venom Burley 93 says, Hail Odin, what's going on? Out of Stuff with Alex says, Odin threatened us with another good time. I sure hope so. Paula Patriot, are you watching Greyhound? It was a World War II movie. No, wasn't Greyhound the film that did not get a release because it got delayed? Did that film get a digital release? I thought that film got delayed because they still want to release that in theaters. But let me know, Paula Patriot, because otherwise I've seen the trailer. And actually, no, I have not seen the trailer for it yet. People have been saying, have you seen the trailer? Have you seen the trailer? I've actually not seen it, but I've seen the poster for it at this point. Super Anime Gamer says, hey-o, what is up? What's going on? Trevor Random, hot from the UK. What's going on in the UK? Out of Step with Reality, no Final Fantasy VII lovers. I don't know, man. Bruce says, yes, let's not forget the Bruce. Damn right, the Bruce list. Glowing the Hobbit says, S&P Global cuts cash-strapped AMC Entertainment credit rating. Doubts theaters will reopen in June. John Campia said AMC theaters may never reopen. Well, I'm not going to take the word of John Campia because that dude is a shill and would probably say anything for clicks at this point. But having your credit rating downgraded, that is definitely serious. I mean, I have not checked it myself yet, but I'm assuming that's something that can be pretty much verified, that they have had their credit rating downgraded, which would be a very big thing. It's dire straits for all the theaters, I would say, because AMC was already kind of in some financial hot water before all this stuff happened. The only thing I think that could save it at this point would be that massive bill that was recently passed, because there's money in there that's meant to help try and protect some of these industries from completely going under. So hopefully they're able to get enough to be able to maintain themselves, because, you might have a different opinion of AMC. I have a very positive opinion of them just because I used to work for an AMC and I had just a very good experience overall, just with everything that, the theater did. And that very well could just be that I love my local theater and my local GM and my local supervisors and managers, and maybe not necessarily the company overall, but I never really was given a reason to really hate the company, because, as I said, the one major incident that happened was we had a government shutdown for an extended period of time when I worked there, and AMC corporate said, all right, we're going to give some leeway, or rather not leeway, but basically we're going to give some like free tickets or discount stuff to any workers that are not getting paid because of the shutdown. So AMC has always had that kind of mindset to it. I've had issues with AMC. I mean, this is just any theater chain too. Like, for example, I'd always ask my managers, why are we throwing all this food out at the end of the night? Why can't we donate it to charity or anything like that? And it came down to the fact that it was a corporate decision. And basically, it's one of those things where it sucks, but it also makes sense, because if you just give everything away, they have it in the night to charity, one, you're responsible for, any of those food products, if there's anything in the food products, things like that. But also, two, and this is the bigger thing, they didn't want employees to put on, like, for example, on the hot dog burner, putting on, 20 extra hot dogs that you knew you wouldn't sell, but they're there and they're cooked. And so either you throw them away or donate. So basically, it was because they knew that would probably end up happening. But even with that being the case, I do like AMC. And that's sad. I really hope that's not true. That second part sounds like John Campia is speculating, and I don't trust John Campia for anything. That's the same dude that said, Aquaman's not going to do well. Man, it came out in December. It's not going to do well, and then it made over $1 billion. So, John, we all speculate. We're all right and wrong sometimes. Campia, from my experience, seems to be more wrong than right. Not to mention that image of him dressed as Harley Quinn. Need I say more? That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. But I really hope that they don't close, because I do like my local AMCs, and they're the most common theater chain, at least any places where I live. Bruce says John Carter was great. Yeah, I remember being pleasantly surprised by it the first time I watched it, so I can't wait to watch it again. Tina says John Carter is so good. I think we did talk about it in the Chosen stream. Yeah, I thought we had talked about it recently. That's why it was in my head, and I was like, what? I wonder how much that movie is. And I found it on eBay, and I'm like, perfect. I don't have to give Disney a dime of my money. This is great. HyperNex13 says, fun question here. Who would win in a brawl, 7 Samurai or 12 Angry Men? Ooh, a movie brawl. I would go with 12 Angry Men, and the simple reason is that it's the easier one to get through, because they're both great films. They're both iconic films. They're both probably in my top 10 favorite films of all time. 12 Angry Men, for sure, is in my top 3 favorite films of all time. But I do also love 7 Samurai. And I think 7 Samurai does certain things that are more important for film history than 12 Angry Men does. But I think I enjoy 12 Angry Men more. That's a film I could watch over and over again. 7 Samurai, it's about almost 3 hours long. It's a very long film, and it's great. It doesn't feel like it's 3 hours, but it does still take a time commitment nonetheless. I could watch 12 Angry Men on multiple times in a short period of time, and I'd be fine. So 12 Angry Men would be the winner in my book there. Jeremy Swiggs had a comment, and then the chat jumped on me like it always does. But let's see. Hopefully, no comments were skipped. Good to see. Jeremy Swiggs says, "Heyo, you are correct, sir." What am I correct about? 70B says, oh hi, Stephanie B. Father Christopher Miller says, Masters in Theology, MA. Yes, I am an MATS. Masters of Arts in Theological Studies. I do have an MATS. Super Anime Gamer says, hey, Odin, would you ever consider making a video on digitizing films? I could, but even though I'm doing it, I just don't feel like I'm an expert. Like, I'm always like, watch this guy instead, because, at first I was ripping the movies, and then I was basically condensing them. That's not the word I'm looking for. Not encoding them either. Oh, I'm forgetting it. But anyway, I was using Handbrake to basically transfer them and convert them. That's the word I'm looking for. So I used Handbrake to convert them into a smaller. Oh my goodness, I cannot speak tonight. A smaller film size, a smaller file size. File was the word that I was looking for there, and it affected the quality of the image. So what I've recently done is I said, okay, that's not worth it. Can I just play them directly from my Plex server at the full frame, at the full file size and not have any issues? And the answer is yes for most movies. However, what I realized is that, and this is going to get into some kind of technical jargon, basically anything that's using the H.264 codec, or no, the X.264 codec, can direct play onto the Plex server using what I have. Also, HEVC can play directly as well without having any issues. But on the Warner Brothers 50 set collection that I have, most of them have what's called a VC1 codec. It just means the type of video file, like the type of video format that it's in, which means very little for playback on your computer. But if you're trying to stream it over a service, basically what I have, since I use a NVIDIA Shield, since I use an NVIDIA Shield to store the information, and I use Fire Stick TV or Roku to watch various things, the Roku and the Fire Stick, they cannot play those files natively. And so therefore my Shield needs to transcode, which it can do. But when you transcode something, it means that you're not getting it as quickly, and it means that there could be some pauses and stops, and you have to kind of wait for it to load. Where with Direct Play, when it's a X264 file or an X265 file, then it can do a much better job. So, that's a good question. Maybe I'll go into it a little bit, but I get too wonky sometimes, and I think that most people would just go way over their head, as I'm sure this last 2 minutes has gone over most people's heads. Alice McCarthy says, howdy, Odin, how's it going watching WrestleMania? Yeah, I've kind of just given up on WWE at this point, man. Kind of just given up on it. Tina says, don't buy any off Amazon. Sharon said they ordered some and got scammed out of $25. Amazon is giving it back, but they need to watch those fake sellers of TP on their site. Yeah, I never really wanted to buy those anyway. Like, in a normal circumstance, I probably would, because Amazon Basics has some pretty good stuff, but yeah, if it's things like toilet paper at this point, I'd want to get it actually in person. Rhaegar Targaryen says, soon this will be Odin's toilet paper blog, and I'll have a whole stack of them behind me. Slice of Neon says, any interest in reviewing Onward? Alas, I have no enthusiasm for it. The marketing pushed me away. That is one of the films that I will be talking about tonight, because I did see Onward earlier. X13, seen any movies or binge watch anything lately? I'm already on season 3 of Breaking Bad. I've watched a crap ton of movies recently, which I'll be talking about in a little bit. Soul Assassin says, they limited toilet paper to 1 small pack per customer in my city. They have that too at my Publix, and yet they still run out. I don't know. I don't quite understand it. X13, Odin, I wanted to ask, have you seen the TV series Ozark? Is it any good if you have? No, I've not, but it gets recommended to me all the time. So maybe someone else in the chat can answer that question about Ozark. Tina B says, Critical Drinker is a legend. I started watching him a couple of months ago, and I've been hooked. I'm glad he was on Friday Night Takes. He's hilarious. I'm sad that we were having some technical issues with a delay on his end, but I will say this much. The video that made me fall in love with Critical Drinker was his review of, I think it was the entire series. No, it was the last season of Doctor Who. His breakdown of Doctor Who was brilliant. If you've not seen it yet, I highly recommend it. It's fantastic. Sasa Neon says, if you haven't, go check out Mahler's April 1st review of episode 9, Side-Splitting Masterpiece. I have not seen it yet myself. Is it short? Is that even a question when it comes to Mahler? HyperNex13. I had some pretty good memories playing this game called Godzilla Domination on my Game Boy. Really outdated, but good times. Sometimes those outdated games are the best ones. Hardwick says, I found out there's an official short film called Pirates of the Caribbean, Tales of the Code Wedlocked, that depicts the wench auction from Ride and shows why women slap Jack. Interesting. Is that an official release or is that a fan film? Greta says, hello, Odin. Everyone, what's going on, Greta? Check out her channel. She's made some amazing videos about Disney recently, and I think she deserves more attention. That's just me. Zacharat says, hello. How's it going, Zacharat315? Jeremy Swiggs, Dire Straits, money for nothing. Venom Broly 93, the Game Gear, also known as the Great Batteries Devourer. Oh, yes. And that's why I don't think we ever got into that game, because I have two brothers, and we're all about 3 years apart. So we were all trying to play at the same time, and it didn't have enough... it just didn't have enough juice in it to last for a very long time. So I think we only ever got like 3 or 4 Game Gear games, not realizing how much that would cost in batteries. Thanatos Felicitas says, it's not Dysentery or Raiders of the Lost Ark. No TP hoarding. Yes, exactly. It's not that dire. It's not that dire. Blake Hemlow, what's going on, man? It's been a while. Paulo Patriot says, I seen the trailer. Is so good. Okay, glad to hear it. Cupcake Geek says, hello, Odin. Odin Disney Plus just launched in the UK. I've watched the first 4 chapters of The Mandalorian on the free trial, and it's a good show. How would you rate the series? So, for me, I base it off of the entire series, and there are some really good episodes. There's also some really bad episodes, and so I think my final rating for it was a B-. I think that was my final rating for it. It was either C+ or a B-, and it's because you had maybe 3 or 4 excellent episodes, but then you also had like 3 or 4 episodes that really weren't that great, and then maybe one of those was like it's okay. So overall, it was a very generic show. And I think the reason why people love it so much, and this is something that I brought up in my review, let's not confuse, this is the best thing that we've seen from Disney as, this is good this is good Star Wars, right? Even though it's Shakespeare in comparison to The Last Jedi, in comparison to all the crap that Disney's done recently with Star Wars, doesn't make it Shakespeare, right? It might seem like Shakespeare in comparison, but in reality, it's not. And so that's why I approached it in that way. Harwick says, why does your father dislike Pierce Brosnan? Not only was he a solid Bond, but he was a fantastic in Remington Steele. He was like a modern-day Cary Grant. For various personal reasons that I really don't that I don't really want to get into on the channel. Yeah, that's all I can really say about why he doesn't like Pierce Brosnan. But also, to be fair, the only really good Pierce Brosnan Bond film is GoldenEye. I'm sorry, the other ones aren't that great. Just being honest. Tina B says, Clownfish TV reported they heard AMC might go under, but they also said they'd heard this as speculation only, not fact. They're real careful about what they say, and that's why I like Clownfish TV. So thank you, Tina, because now I can say, okay, there's speculation going on that AMC will go under. However, that speculation's been going on since even before this thing happened, even before this doo-doo bug started, right? I mean, they were already in financial straits. And so I think that it's kind of disingenuous to try and use that as clickbait, and talking about John Campea here, not Clownfish, because Clownfish, again, always does great reporting. They always do a great job. If they make a mistake, and sometimes they do, guess what? They correct themselves. I don't remember, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember John Campea saying, I was wrong about anything he's ever been wrong about. And the one thing I mentioned was Aquaman making well over $1 billion. Just saying. I'm just saying. All right, let's see. But Teresa Martin's in the chat. What's going on, Teresa Martin? Stephanie B says, John Campy P. Who dat? Yeah, I see what you did there, Stephanie B. I see that spelling. I see that way. Alrighty, let us see here. Who are we? Where are we in the chats? All right, let's go over to my D-Live people. What's going on, D-Live? How's it going, bub? How is it going? I'll DM you, Frank, if it becomes dire. Right now, we're okay, though. Phonemo says, whoever asked about Ozark, it's great. Okay, so Phonemo from D-Live fame says that Ozark is a great show. I thought about starting it, actually, because it just keeps getting recommended to me, and I just don't know what it's about. I don't know what it's about. As I knocked my pop filter over. Oh, man. See, Captain J. Rod, the Beer Guru, says a B- sounds fair. Okay, assuming you're talking about The Mandalorian. Yeah, it sounds fair. Captain Darkstar 57 says, where would someone allegedly find the instructions to unlock stuff on a Fire Stick TV? Allegedly, there is a great YouTube channel. Let me see if I can find it for you, because I'm sub to it. Let us see. Oh, that's probably gonna mess something up. But there are YouTube channels out there, so yeah, I can't access it right now, because if I do that, I have to sign into my other accounts, and that might mess up the chat that I have right now. And Lord knows I don't want the chat to be any more messed up than it already is. But just Google, Fire Stick TV, free movie, free TV apps. There's tons of videos out there. Look for the ones that have a lot of likes to dislikes, because that tells you which ones are more trustworthy. Look to the amount of views, and if you want, you can if you find any, let me know the channel names that you find, and I'll let you know if I've heard of them and whether they're reliable or not. But to be honest, I actually really haven't even used them that much anymore, Darkstar 57. And also, if you do use that, it's good to have a VPN, just to be on the safe side. Captain Dean High says, started watching Tiger King today. Didn't care for it. Don't like documentary-style shows. What? Oh, man. See, I'm not much of a documentary person either, but it's a great... Oh, you have to keep watching, man. Keep watching it. It gets crazier and crazier, man. Give it a chance. Just give it a chance. All right. Where were we over on the YouTubes? We were with someone. Luke Skywalker for Baby says, who would win in a fight between Casino and Goodfellas? I've only seen Casino once, and I don't remember that much about it, to be honest. That's a film that I need to watch again. So Goodfellas is going to win that fight, for sure. Hardwick says, have you seen Jackson Crawford's YouTube channel? He's an expert in Norse culture and mythology. No, I have not. Alice McCarthy, you'll see that I have indeed put a couple of new images for my members on the channel. Hopefully you enjoy them. Unfortunately, the GIFs for some reason aren't working. When I have it up in my studio, they're running. Like they're moving and everything. But then when they show up in the chat for some reason, the GIFs aren't working. And so I uploaded a couple of images instead and try to get them as big as I possibly could. So if you want your GIF life, sadly, it looks like you might need to go over to DLive in order to get the full feature over there. Jeremy Swig says, when this is over, Odin will look like the real Odin or be ready to join ZZ Top. Well, I will say this much, that once we get to Easter, I do plan on trying to get a haircut. Basically, just getting another buzz cut, because I like the buzz cut look. I got the light spot up here, and so it just looks better when it's short than when it's long. And then just get this, not cut off it completely, everybody, right? But trimmed, because, happy wife is a happy life, is what I always say. It is what I always say. Father says, well, I have an MA and an MDiv. Well, Father, you kind of have to. You kind of had no choice in the matter. Let's see. Bruce says, I read all of the Princess Mars books, so I knew what John Carter was. Disney blew it in the marketing. That's really sad, because Disney does that a lot. Disney seems to have a history of doing that, especially when it's a product that they don't know what they have. And they put so much money into that film, you would think that they would have marketed it better. You would think that they would have been, hey, we put a lot of money into this film. We need to get our return on our investment. But I think that decisions like John Carter and the money lost from John Carter, I think that should help explain why Disney, more so than any other studio, is having the most financial issues right now. Just saying. Dan K, what's going on, Dan K? Glad to see you in here. Killy Chow, I see you in here as well. How's it going? Venom Burley 93 says, I am planning to obtain a degree in gender. Don't waste your money or taxpayer dollar. If you are getting any type of loan or any type of anything that requires any type of tax dollar payments, yeah. See, here's the reason why. Okay, so soapbox moment for a moment. All right, here's why I don't want free college. Because then that will just allow for idiots who want to study gender theory to go to college for free, and our taxpayer dollars would pay for that. No, thank you. If you're talking instead about us in a certain state, helping people that want to become doctors, helping people that want to become, jobs that are really important and are actually required for a functioning society, even trade schools, right? Then we could have a discussion. then we can say, okay, maybe for certain jobs, certain occupations, things like that, maybe we can try and as a state or as a local community, try and figure something out. But a blanket we need free college for everyone. No, we don't, because we don't need people who are idiots that are going to get their degree in gender theory and women's studies, who are not going to produce anything in culture or society other than just being annoying taxpayer dollars. So, all right, off the soapbox for a second. HyperX13 says, is HBO Max still happening? When's it coming out again? It's coming out in May. I've not heard anything to the contrary at this point. Nathan Slay, howdy, howdy, howdy. Dion's here. Orange at Reviews is here as well. Tina says, I sent you the link about the camera they used to shoot Ben-Hur because I know you love that kind of tech talk. I knew it wasn't CinemaScope. Yes. Cannot wait. Alex McCarthy says, Breaking Bad is awesome. Yeah, science. Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah, Breaking Bad's a great show. So if you want to binge watch anything, I have seen all of Breaking Bad. It's as long of a show as it needs to be. I wish it was longer, but I'm glad it wasn't because it's exactly how long it needed to be. There's no wasted time. Or there's no wasted episodes. Every TV series has, I guess, moments of wasted time, but it has some of the fewest moments of that. There's no wasted episodes, though, right? Really, like, shows that aren't as great as you would think they are ones that have wasted episodes. Breaking Bad does not have a single wasted episode. Tina also says, I do get TP from Amazon through the subscribe and save, but considering the shortage, I don't even know if my Northern or Continental will arrive in a few weeks. Yeah, if I were to get anything, it'd be directly from those companies and not through third-party sellers, that's for sure. Phone Nemo over on DLive says, a haircut is the first thing I plan on doing when this is over with. Yeah, I totally understand that for sure. Glory in the Hobbit says, your thoughts on compulsory wear masks in America? Yeah, so for those that are not aware, the president recently said that it's not compulsory yet. Last time I heard, I don't know if anything has changed since we started going live, but I know that the last time I heard and saw the news reports from the presidential meeting, that the press conference, that it was voluntary, that they recommend that when you go outside to wear a mask, but you do not have to. It's not required. I don't like people being forced to wear something, even during times like this, because here's the thing with me. All I can do is think about some of the worst pandemics and epidemics that have existed in our history. Because there are things that have been much worse than this, have been much more deadly than this, especially during a time when we didn't have this type of medical technology and this ability to fight off illnesses like we have now. So I look to that, and I think that, yes, we should take it seriously. Yes, we should do everything that we can to limit the spread, especially since this is going to have a tremendous impact on the elderly. But this is something that we should, washing our hands more regularly, being aware of when we touch our face and whether we should shake someone's hand if we've touched our face, like being more aware and self-aware during any time of the year, especially during flu season. I think that's something that we should already be doing. So I understand we need to take this seriously, but we also can't go overboard with it either. We can't go crazy, and I think some people are going crazy. Tina says, Critical Drinkers, Doctor Who, and his Rise of Soywalker reviews are brilliant. He just did a belated one on Alien Covenant, and boy, oh boy, yeah, Alien Covenant was just a major disappointment. I was so excited for that film, and when the weekend it came out, they released extra scenes on YouTube, and I saw those scenes and thought to myself, wait a minute, what? This is very relevant to the story. Why didn't you not have this in the actual movie? Yeah, that's when you know it's bad. Alice McCarthy says, Tina needs a channel. Yes, she does. Come on, Tina. Now is the time to start. Nathan Slay, can we both agree that there is only one good Pirates of the Caribbean movie? There's one great Pirates movie, and that is The Curse of the Black Pearl. The first film is damn near perfect. The second movie is enjoyable. The second film's not as good as the first one, but it's enjoyable. And I'm going to be honest, that ending when Barbossa's revealed had me excited. I remember seeing that in theaters and was like, oh, snap. I was like, oh, yeah. And everyone in the theater like collectively had that gasp of, yeah. It was one of those few genuine surprises that you don't really get a whole lot in cinema nowadays, I feel. So I like the second film. I do like the second film, and especially the ending. But the first one is the only great one. That is for sure. 3 has all kinds of issues. And actually, even 4, though it does have a lot of issues, not going to lie, the storyline between the minister, the Christian minister, and the mermaid should have been its own movie. And it's so funny because there's like a whole subsection of fans that follow it and have made fan fiction about those two characters and have made YouTube videos clipping all of their scenes together. But you know what? Those were my favorite scenes in the movie too. I'm not going to go as far as to dive into fan fiction because that's just not really my thing. Might be your thing, and it is what it is. But it was the best part of the movie. And not going to lie, if they said tomorrow, hey, we're going to tell their story, I'd be like, I'll go see it. I like the actors they had. I like the characters they played. It was the only genuine relationship on screen that I actually believed in, which I think had a lot to do with the actors involved. But yeah. Only one great one, that's for sure. Super Anime Gamer says, yes, for April Fool's, Mahler made a short parody video essay. It's great. Oh, man, that sounds fantastic. Orange Hat says, I tried watching Onward and got bored 5 minutes in. I might try again. Also, just claim the extended edition of the A-Team. It makes that movie even better. Yeah, if you mean the remake or the the original series, I don't know if there was an original series movie or if the only movie is the newer version. I wasn't a big fan. I wasn't a big fan of the movie. So, and I'm always very skeptical about extended editions fixing anything. It's very rarely for me that an extended edition will fix a movie. For me, it has to be a movie that I enjoyed already, even though it had issues, that is then made better. A great example, Kingdom of Heaven. Kingdom of Heaven is a great Ridley Scott movie. I enjoyed it the first time I saw it, saw the director's cut and said, wow, this is a far superior version. But I had already liked the previous edition. It had issues, but I enjoyed it. Different than something like BVS, which I hated the first time I watched it, and then everyone's saying, move that extra 30 minutes, it adds so much to the story, and I'm like, I don't care. The movie was bad. I don't want to watch an extra 30 minutes of the film. It's not going to fix it. But get to a couple more things. I want to talk about the movies that I've actually seen recently. I'll keep leaving questions. But yeah, Onward is a film that also I have very similar sentiments with it, but there's more to it than just that. Blake Hemlow says, myself and my family are doing well during these uncertain times due to the pandemic. Yes, indeed. Nitrium says, hail to the Valkyrie. Well, thank you very much, Nitrium, for hailing them. Harwick says, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Talk of the Code Wedlocked is an official Disney short film. I only recently found out about it, but it was made in 2008. It can be found on YouTube. Interesting. Luke Skywalker Forever Baby says, this new season has been a total disappointment. First arc online for 5 years already. Second arc is filler with terrible characters. What is worse is we could have had Boba versus Bane. That's kind of out of context. I'm assuming you're talking about Clone Wars. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. I agree. The first few episodes dealing with the Bad Batch of clones was fantastic. This new Ahsoka storyline has gone on way too far. Like, you're right. I don't like the new character that they've introduced. I still love Ahsoka, but man, oh man, they're dragging out. Like, when the episode ended today and they're still in prison, I'm like, I feel like they've been in prison forever now, and the episodes are only like 20 minutes. Dear Lord, I hope they move on from it. I really hope they move on from it. GMonkey76 says, Mandalorian is a C+ at best. All other Disney Star Wars is crap. And then that's what it comes down to, right? If the best thing you have is C+, what does that say about you? What does that say about you, right? All righty, let us see. Oh, man, we got tons of people in here tonight. 78 people. All righty, let's see. So many people. So many comments. So many comments. This is crazy. How we have more comments with less people than we used to have. We used to have well over 100 people and would have about the same number of comments. Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to me. But jumping over to D-Live for a second, Phonemo says, I was just going to mention the director's cut of Kingdom of Heaven. That is a great addition. Adam says, Clone Wars OMG taking forever. Yes. Yes, it is. Dragging their feet, as it were. No, we're making it better. Are you? Jeremy Swiggs, who doesn't like Brosnan? You mean you didn't like his singing in Mamma Mia? Oh, Lord. Jay Stowe says, Flash, with the social distancing been catching up on my collection. After watching the box set of Ringu, I must say Arrow is quickly becoming a favorite go. Yeah, I have that collection as well, Jay Stowe. And yeah, I have not watched them myself, but I might get to the point when I get to this large collection of films, most of which I probably will never see. But that's one of the series where I might actually want to, because it seems to me, and I could be wrong, that the original Japanese version, which The Ring is based on, Ringu, is more focused on thriller elements rather than jump scares. And I like that more because I hate jump scares, and that's why I avoid those films. 70B says, you said Campia was disingenuous? Yes, that's exactly what I said. HyperX13, Dune is going to flop if it doesn't delay now that Top Gun has a December release. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to flop necessarily. Again, it's hard to predict flops this early out. It really is. Because we've always had several major releases in December. Every year, there's always several major big budget releases in December. And usually they do okay if they're a good movie and had a good marketing campaign. So Dune could flop, right? Any film could technically flop. The question is, are they going to market it very well? How much money have they spent on the project? And so many other factors that go into it. So I'm not ready to say Dune's going to be a flop at this point. Tommy, what's going on, good sir? I see you in the chat. Father Christian Miller says, any fans of Firefly here? Right here. Audible has a free selection of a free selection of Torn Stranger, Interdimensional Insurance Agent, read by Adam Baldwin. Okay, I like Adam Baldwin. The rest of it, I am not quite sure about. Slash Neon says, JC fatally underestimated the powers of Momoa's abs. John Campy, yes, he did. And my Valkyrie can speak to that because they totally agree with you. Alex McCarthy says, Tomorrow Never Dies was awesome. I don't really remember much about it. I think that's what speaks to me about it. JGodJ says, do you think Marvel will bring in a popular character back like Iron Man, Tony Stark, or Spider-Man to prop up Captain Marvel in her own sequel, or do you think they will do something else? JGod, I talked about that exactly in the video I made for the channel today. Short answer is yes. If you want more information, check out the video. Oh, man. HyperX13. This is going to be a hot debate. The Godfather versus Goodfellas. For me, not so hot. The only question would be, The Godfather Part 1, Godfather Part 2, both together. Because I would put Godfather Part 2 over Goodfellas. And I think I'd put Goodfellas over Godfather Part 1. Is where I stand right now. But with those films, because they are of a similar genre and style, I think that could change from time to time. So, let's see. As Alex McCarthy puts in all of the all of the new images, and I'm so sad they don't work because I have one from The Mask of him doing shh. It's so sad. Nana Reaper says, Odin, you should just go full Topher haircut. Full Topher. Topher? Topher? Remember, Alex Bradley says, don't you dare touch the beard. Long beard lives matter. Didn't you touch your glorious hair and locks? You can't talk to me. HyperX13, I want to see what you look like with glasses and a shaved head like Walter White, if you get what I mean. I'm sure I've got pictures of that because at one point in time, I did have that look with glasses on. And there may be pictures. I don't know. Rob D says, do you have the Odin Father of Aesir Yu-Gi-Oh card? I did not know that a card existed, Rob D. That sounds awesome. In fact, that's something that I can look up without ruining the chat element. Let's see. Ooh. That's a nice looking legendary card you got there. Oh, look at that. Ooh, man. A fairy type? How do you call him? What? Okay. It was cool, and then under its type, it's Fairy Synchro Effect. He ain't no fairy. That's nonsense. That's nonsense, Rob D. I tell you, that's nonsense. Luke Skywalker 45 baby says, Fox beats Disney when it comes to bad marketing and ruining promising shows, Firefly, etc. Oh, that's very true, and that's why Fox sold its assets to Disney, and Disney's probably not too far behind them. Miami Yeti says, Dexter is a good show to binge. Yeah, I've never seen Dexter. I've never seen it before in my life. Donald Hudson, what's going on, man? Glad to see you in the chat. Tina says, Disney could have advertised John Carter as the spiritual grandfather to Star Wars, Blade Runner, etc., but nope. Disney equals idiots, as we now see. That is a fact. Keely Chow says, thank you. It's going all right. How's it going? It's going fine, Keely Chow. Hope you are doing okay. Jeremy Swig says, my wife does cosmetology, so I haven't paid for a haircut in 13 years. That's a very lucky position to be in. Jay Stowe says, now Odin, they're only one gender study theory I'm interested in, and I don't need college for the lulz. Or for that. Okay, for that. Yes. Nana Reaper says there are 4 free colleges in the country already. They just require a postgraduate commitment of 8 years. And again, that's how they get you. Keely Chow says, I also don't want my taxpayer dollars going to tax cuts for the rich, and we already spend a lot on our military. Yeah, Keely Chow, I'm definitely fall more to that side of it. I think that we do spend way too much on the military. All the money that we spend should be on veterans, on people that have served in our home and who need help. I think that's where our money should be going, not to propping up foreign dictators, not to going into other countries, not to holding bases in other countries that we really just don't need anymore. I'd rather us focus more time and attention and money building up our own national defense here on our shores than being all over the place, spreading ourselves all over the world. As far as tax cuts for the rich go, we can get into debate until we're blue in the face about that. But at the end of the day, we have some of the highest taxes for corporations in the world. And that is one of the many reasons why we don't have corporations here. But they are, so basically this. Because, again, I think it's a double-edged sword. You do realize, hopefully, that that's one of the reasons why we're having so many issues with supplies during this crisis. Because a lot of companies that are founded and were started here moved overseas because the tax rates were too high. It's so non-competitive. And so, basically, what we need to do is we need to find some common ground. We need to find some way of being competitive with the likes of China, which can be very hard to do since they manipulate their currency and everything like that, which is why once this is all over, I would much rather have someone like the Donald in the White House than someone like the Biden in the White House dealing with China. And just on that issue alone. Again, if we're going to talk about other issues, I think we can go pros, cons, etc. Even though Biden at this point is just, I don't think he's all there. But with that being said, I always hear tax cut for the rich, tax cuts for the rich. But we also have to understand usually what that entails, right? If we're talking about corporate tax cuts, I think those are a good thing because it makes us more competitive with having manufacturing jobs and things like that here in the United States. If we're talking about personal taxes, I think that brings up another discussion. Greta says, you need to watch Ben-Hur soon. It's perfect for Easter weekend. Yes, I have it. I've digitized it, and so I have it. I'm having an issue in my Plex server, though, because I have part 1 and part 2, because that's how it came, because the movie's just so long. It came on 2 different Blu-ray discs, and it shows up as one movie on my Plex server, but when I play it, it only has part 1, and there's no way of me accessing part 2. So I have to figure out a way to have either both parts show up individually or something else entirely. But we'll get there. We'll get there. All right, back to the chats. Slicer Neon says, you hear that the story about a Venezuelan Navy ship trying to hijack a cruise liner and then sinking after ramming it? Yes, I did. That's insane. Jay Stowe says, we'll have to wear one we'll have to wear one at work, but I couldn't wear one all day. Oh, because of the job that you do? That's rough. Hypernex 13, speaking of the Breaking Bad universe, have you seen Better Call Saul, series spinoff about the lawyer, and El Camino movie with Jesse Pinkman? I have seen El Camino. El Camino was fantastic. I tried watching Better Call Saul. I couldn't get into it. I just couldn't really get into it. Tina says, I heard something about a cruise ship and a naval ship, but the report I heard was a U.S. ship, and I was like, how the hell did that happen? It's a very good question. I don't really have all the details about that. Alice McCarthy says, Minister and the Mermaid, I'd watch it. Damn right. I know you would watch it. Glenzer says, all the media footage of empty streets is reminiscent of I Am Legend and 28 Days Later. The media loves this pandemic because it's ratings. It's ratings galore for them. That's why I'm not watching Fox News, MSNBC, NBC, any of that crap, CNN, because it's fear-mongering. I watch people like Tim Pool. That's basically where I get a lot of the headlines from, or I just look up the general headlines. I have general alerts on my phone for when big things happen, but I otherwise pretty much stay away from everything else. Let us see here. Blake Hemlow says, good news, I'm almost out of writing phase for my animated series. Next up is copyright protection and contracts, so anyone that I hire can't steal it. Blake, I'd be willing to support you, man, but I need to see some actual graphic design of the show. Jeremy Swig says, I was irritated with the last Pirates movie because they contradicted their own continuity several times. Yeah, that's why the issue has it has a bunch of issues, but That one storyline is great. Nana Reaper says the Knights Templar were done wrong in the Kingdom of Heaven. I'm not saying it's a historically accurate movie. I'm just saying it was fun. I enjoyed it. Alrighty. Chat jumped on me again. I don't think I'm ever going to get to my movie reviews tonight. This is really sad. I think just at the very end, I'll have to say, all right, I'm not reading chat anymore, and I'm just going into the reviews. That's pretty much what I'm going to have to do. Why did I think that I'd be able to actually get through my reviews tonight? The chat is just too hopping. My friends. Let's see. Glowing the Hobbit says, Artemis Fowl going straight to Disney+. Yes, it is. And you know what? That's a good decision because that film was going to flop. Zach Gregg, the new characters are bland and boring. Talking about Clone Wars. Yes. Alex McCarthy says, the last 3 episodes of Clone Wars have been borehole. What's borehole? What kind of a phrase is that? Oh, man. That is crazy. But yeah, the last 3 episodes have not been very good. Had it just been the first episode and then they went back and forth, it might be okay. But 3 straight episodes with these, what is it, the Martinez sisters? No, thank you. Not worth it. Also, have you noticed that the last 3 episodes have had almost every character be a female lead? Just a thought. Because they show you the Mandalorians. Guess what? All 3 of them had female voices. Again, normally that would be okay, but seeing what Disney has been trying to do recently, I just find it interesting that they had their episodes dealing with the Bad Batch of clones, and then they're like, well, we have to offset that. Let's have 3 straight episodes of all female characters. It's like, yeah, but you see, the Bad Batch episodes were good. And it's not because there was male characters, it's because they were good episodes with interesting character development. Now you've said, oh, well, we have to make it. And this is the reason why they'll always lose, because they'll try and cry, oh, that's sexist, man. You just don't like it because you don't like female characters. Like, no, I just don't like badly written characters. And it's your fault. It's your fault for taking these characters and making them bad. You could have made them great characters, and we would not have had a second thought about how you handled this. We would not have had a second thought about it. Oh, man. CWD Trixie says, did you see Anna's reaction to the new info on the New Republic? It is still amazing that it somehow gets even worse. No, I have not. I've not been able to watch a lot of people's content recently. Nana Reaper says, so many people for 1:38 a.m. Where you are, man, for sure. Absolutely. It's only 7:52 p.m. Where we are right here. Zach Gregg, the new Clone Wars has so much Kathleen Kennedy involvement. These last 3 episodes, it becomes very clear. And actually, my question is, for anyone out there that might know, are the last 3 episodes that we've had, were these a part of those original episodes that were already made when George Lucas was still involved, or are these brand new episodes? Because if these are brand new episodes, holy crap, they done messed up. Because it's been a very clear tonal shift, and it's just not good. But I can't say whether or not they're a part of the original stuff or not. Tina says, oh, context, camera used in Ben-Hur. The link I sent you is in your actual Twitter post about you digitizing your Warner Brothers MGM collection. Okay, I think I saw that then. Going to Hobbit says, Rick and Morty show writer has been tapped to pen the script for Ant-Man 3. Again, it sounds good on paper, but then you remember it's Disney that is in charge. And we see the direction that they're trying to take Marvel. It's so hard for me to get. I've made this clear. I thought I made it clear. I just don't care about the MCU anymore. I don't care. Endgame destroyed my love for the MCU because it showed me that when the studio gets involved and has to push their stupid agenda items, it gets bad. And they can do that in any of these movies, any of them. And based on what we're seeing, it looks like diversity. And again, in their minds, what diversity is, not what actual diversity is. They don't care. They don't care what the people think. They will push it even if it loses money. So I'm so done. I'm so done with it. Yeah, Firefly is great. I'm a leaf on the wind. Brown coats for life. Yes. Father Christopher Miller says, Tom Stranger, not Torn Stranger. I still, does still means very little to me, though. I still don't know who that is or what that is. Let's see. Father says, you know what the chain of command is. It's the chain I go get and beat you with till you understand who's it running command here. Oh, what's that from? Nana Reaper, it's not a James Bond. It's not a James Bond without a British sports car in it. This is true. Nana Reaper says the monk haircut. Oh, tonsure. Okay. Yeah. So like having the, okay. Yeah. I've always known that to be called tonsure. Growing to Hobbit says, I saw Moulin Rouge 2001. It was fantastic. It's a fun movie. It is a fun movie. Trippy at times, but fun. Jay Stowe, I might just have to put a bowl on my head and give myself a Mo cut. Yes. Three Stooges. Love that show. Such a Neons. Nothing stopping this stream. Am I glitching? Was I glitching? I have no idea. Alice McCarthy, I have an excuse for shaving my head and my back. Couldn't take proper care of it. I even had to simp and ask my wife permission to shave it. Damn, simp. It's okay. I think we all simp sometimes, especially any of us that are married. I think when you're married, it's like you're excused from it, depending on what it is. There's obviously some things that are a little bit too far, but I think things like that, they're excused. Rob D says, I will agree on the Odin Yu-Gi-Oh card being a fairy type. I don't get it either. He should be Beast Warrior. Yes. 100% yes. I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh back in the day. I'm sure my cards are somewhere at my parents' house down in Louisiana. Aid Vickery, what's going on, man? Says, I hope everyone is safe and following the health advisory. I know I am. Nitrium says, oh, I forgot to hail Odin. Well, thank you, Nitrium. I appreciate that. Thank you. Keely Chow says, I agree. Well, there you go. I'm glad to hear that. We can all have different opinions on a wide variety of topics. Nathan Slay says, I know you probably already answered this question, but can we both agree that there's only one good Pirates of the Caribbean movie? Nathan Slay, I've already answered it. I had a whole tangent on it, Nathan Slay. Not gonna do it again. I'm already too far behind the chat, man. And this is not calling you out specifically, but this has happened before. If you ask a question and you really care that much about answering it, or about me answering it or whatever, watch the stream. Don't go away. If it matters that much to you, because I don't like answering myself again. Miami 80. Hollywood is about ready to move out of the 80s and 90s to start remaking movies from the early mid 2000s. What do you think will be the first one they do? Well, they're kind of already doing it. Not a remake, because technically it's the fourth film in the movie, but Matrix, right? I guess that technically is late 90s. What is that? Late 90s, early 2000s? I can never forget if that was 99 or early 2000s. I'm sure someone in the chat's going to tell me and scream at me, but that's okay. D-Lab people, y'all are awesome. I love my D-Lab people. Thank y'all for being here. But yeah, I would go there first probably. Slash and Neons. My favorite Biden quote, puppy snack, the ate a girl. Just let the poor guy retire. Well, hold on. He said puppy snack, the ate a girl. Yeah, and to be honest, Slicer's right. Those are the kinds of things that he's saying. Nonsensical gibberish. And this is the guy that people are trying to say, yeah, he should lead our country. I get the arguments against Trump. I get it. I understand it. I did not, again, I've made this clear on the channel before. I did not vote for him in 2016. I voted for a man named Evan McMullen, who was an independent running because I didn't like any of the options. But I'll say this much. I'm much happier with Trump than I would have been with Clinton. I'm just being honest there. If it's Trump versus Biden, I'd be much happier with Trump than I would be Biden. Doesn't mean that I'd be happy. It's a level of it's like a shade of gray, right? It's like a certain level of I'm not happy, but I'm happier than I would be otherwise. Not to mention, one of the biggest issues to me as a Catholic is the issue of life, and only one of them will actually protect the right to life. And that's kind of a deal breaker with me. And what sucks is Biden claims to be a Catholic, and he goes completely against it in so many ways. But that's a whole other thing. That's a whole other topic. Whole other thing. Let's see. Over on DLive, Adam says, I only hope with what is going on right now that this helps kill the soyness in Holly woke vile and movies. Holly Wokeville and movies. Adam, man, holy crap. What were you saying? It was so hard to read. But yes, I agree. I hope that it kills the soreness going on in Hollywood too. I doubt it though. Have you seen them? Have you seen what they've been doing? They need the attention, so they get on Twitter and they make these random videos like we're important, we're helping. It's like, shut up. Phonemo says 2016 feels like a lifetime ago. Seriously. It's been 4 years since that election, yet it feels like a lifetime. It really does. Cabdeen High says, is CV going to delay the writer's strike that was supposed to happen? I actually think they came to terms with it. Because of everything going on with the doo-doo bug, I think they finally worked their issues out, so I don't think it's going to happen now. Because I want to say Deadline had an article about it, but, I mean, when it comes to writers that are already getting paid way too much in the first place, complaining about more, yeah, it's just, it is what it is. All right, someone just had a comment deleted or got in timeout. Disney Channel stars need to leave Disney and go back to normal lives and get friends that last forever. Okay. That first comment that I saw, I'm sure they said something later down the road, and I'll see that. So, Valkyrie, thank y'all so much for being on top of it. Whatever it is, I'm sure that I'll get to it and see. Yes, right call. Because y'all always make the right call. Hybrid says, I've been wanting to join the Navy, but after hearing CV effects, I guess I'll wait for a while. My prayers go to them. Yeah. Praying for everyone in the military right now, anyone that's a cop, anyone that's a firefighter, first responder, public servant, right? Those are the people that are having to go out day after day after day and really putting themselves on the front line of this, increasing their chances of getting it, increasing their chances of giving it to possibly even a loved one. So yeah, definitely prayers and thoughts and prayers going out to them. No question about it. Sasha Neon says, I thought he was a missionary, but yes, a gender swapped Shape of Water is my jam. No. Shape of Water was bad. No. I'm sorry. That collection of, I think, 10 minutes worth of film dealing with the Pirates of the Caribbean characters of the missionary. Yes, he was a missionary. I said minister. That's just what I call people that are, religious that, teach, etc. But technically, the better term would be missionary. But yes, the missionary and the mermaid would be a much better story. That 10 minutes of Pirates of the Caribbean 4 is better than all of that garbage that we got with The Shape of Water. And I don't care what Anna thinks about it. I don't care if Anna loves it. Because she loves the art direction of the film. That's what I think. That is what I still believe today. I think she loves the art direction, and the art direction's great, but the movie sucks. This is also the same person that likes Avatar. So I'm just saying. Me and her still need to have that fight. Me and her still need to have that debate stream. Because it's... Because I think she's going to come in with all of these developed arguments from story perspective, and I'm just going to be trolling her saying, he's a fish. She had sex with a fish. Because at the very least, with the mermaid, when she's on land, she gets regular human legs. Not so much with Shape of Water. Oh, man. Jeremy Swiggs, exactly. Do they seriously think raising the corporate tax is going to mean more money in paychecks or value for consumers? Of course they don't. I mean, it's all about, for them, it's all about power on both sides of it. They want power. They just both have very different ways of doing it. For the Republicans, it's usually, we're going to decrease these taxes because then we'll get more money from these corporations and that'll keep us in power longer. Where the Democrats are, we're going to attack the rich or claim to, but still take money from certain corporations and certain people. But then also at the same time, we're going to give a bunch of free stuff to the poor. And because the poor are such a vast number in our country, that means that we can now basically buy their vote forever. Because let's just think about it for a second. For Democrats out there voting Democrat their entire life, has your life been improved drastically because of Democratic measures? And if you mean, I've gotten more free stuff, that's not bettering your life. Being more dependent on the government is not a good thing. Independence, freedom, those are the things that we should aspire for. Having programs that help people through rough times to then get back on their own. That is what the purpose of those programs was supposed to be. That's what we were told they were, right? Now it's a way of trying to basically keep voters in that level forever and their entire families forever, because then you have those voters forever. So again, both sides are evil in certain capacities when you think about it. Let's see. Tina. Tina says, do your reviews. Steph and I will control this bunch, says Tina. We'll get there. Frank says, because we all miss you and have nothing to do. I miss y'all too. That is true. I think I fail to realize, oh my gosh, everyone's just at home and having to stay in quarantine and not getting... So they're just like, I need to talk to somebody. Here's a question. Let's talk about it, please. I don't care if you already answered the question. Answer it again. I guess that's a fair point. Nana Reaper coming in with looks like a clarification. It was a German Antarctic cruise ship versus Venezuelan corvette. The Navy ship raked the cruise ship with 20mm fire, then rammed the reinforced icebreaker bow of the cruise ship and sank. Holy crap. That is ridiculous. Orange Hack says, can't stay much longer. Got to get ready for joining a stream discussing original Terminator. Nice, dude. Good luck. Good luck. All right, here was another one. Stop going to all the theme parks forever because all theme parks are woke and expensive. Not all theme parks. Do you mean Disney theme parks? Not all theme parks. I love Cedar Point in Ohio. That's a great theme park. That theme park's not woke. It's got great coasters. It's a coaster park, eh? It's a coaster park. Sherry Allen says, what movie reviews are you waiting to do? I'm keen to know what movie reviews you're going to do. Okay, so I'm not going to do the movie reviews yet, but I have initial thoughts on Peanut Butter Falcon. I'm about 20 minutes away from finishing that movie. I have a review of Onward that I finished earlier today. I have a review of The Two Popes. That's on Netflix. Enemy at the Gates and Vanishing Point. Also, Gone in 60 Seconds. I think maybe I touched upon Gone in 60 Seconds on a previous stream. And Eraserhead I touched on a previous stream too, I think. But I don't think I did full reviews of those movies. But at the very least, the previous ones that I talked about. So those are the ones that I've seen and want to talk a little bit about. But Sherry Allen, thank you for that question. I appreciate it. Thanks for letting me get at least some of it off my chest. All right. Keely Chow says, I also don't like badly written characters. I think no one does. Who honestly likes badly written characters? Okay, Alex McCarthy, I know you're going to say, hey, I do. I like badly written characters. We all know you do, Alex. Okay, we all know it. We get it. You like bad movies. You like bad characters. We get it, man. Get help. I feel like Michael Jordan in that one gif. Seriously, get help. I love you, man. Jacob75, what's going on, good sir? G-Monkey76 says, don't think so on Clone Wars. Kathleen Kennedy name not in credits. Okay, yeah, so I know she wasn't in the beginning of the credits, but that doesn't always tell the whole story, so we really don't know. Don't pay Six Flags or Cedar Fair your money forever. Kyle, dude, I can understand why you're starting to get, why you got blocked, dude, or at least put in timeout. Because Six Flags and Cedar Fair, how are they woke? Again, most corporations, I mean, if we're going to go, here's the problem with that line of thinking, Kyle. Can you buy from anyone? Think about it. Can you honestly buy any product from any company? Because if you're going to get into the personal politics of the people running these companies, you're not going to be able to buy anything from almost anyone. All right? Most people who are at the top, for some reason or another, tend to lean one way politically. Not all, but some. I'm not going to live my life that way saying, oh, who do they vote for in 2016? Oh, I'm not buying from them anymore. Like, that's not a way to live life, right? You can make your personal decisions. If you say, oh, this money, for example, if you say, oh, this group gave hundreds of millions of dollars to this certain organization that I am vehemently opposed to, I don't want to support them. That makes sense to me. That absolutely makes sense to me, right? That totally works. But yeah, I think I think that I could see where you're going to where you would have pissed off the Valks. Blake Hemler says the first episode of this current arc for Clone Wars was changed. Not sure about the other three though. Okay, I got you. Let's see. Gloin the Hobbit says I saw 21 2020 movies in theaters before the quarantine. Damn, Gloin, that's a good. I'm sorry that your rate was shut down because of this, man. Captain Mr. Roy, thank you very much for that diamond donation over there. As Adam put a bunch of images of kitties, little kitties typing. Alex McCarthy says, borehole is a hole filled of boring, right? Yeah. I gotcha. Killy Chow, the MCU ended with Endgame the same way the DCAU ended with DC Animated Universe ended with the Justice League Unlimited episode Destroyer. Yeah, I never dove into those, so I'll take your word for it, though, for sure. Have you never been to a theme park? What? Okay, so it sounds like he was harassing the Valks. That's not cool, bro. Don't harass the Valks. They're good people. Father Chris Miller says, "'Tis okay. I DM'd you the link to the book. The Chain of Command is from Firefly. Anyway, Tom Stranger is an anti-SJW character." Ah, I gotcha. Orange Hat Review says, "The Ahsoka episodes were done during Lucas era, but they gender swapped the character they had for Trace Martinez. I was going to be a love interest food. Ahsoka. Oh, I thought, you know what? Orange Hat, I suspected that because I honestly think there is a chance they try and build a relationship between Ahsoka and that girl. I like that's how it comes across. So that makes total sense to me now. It's so stupid. That's so stupid. You have balance if it's a brother and sister. There is a good relationship to be built there. And why can't Ahsoka have a love interest? Oh, because we need to leave open the possibility of her falling in love with a woman. That's the reason why. Oh, yeah, because that's what we need to do right now in Star Wars. We need more diversity in Star Wars by making really bad characters. Because I guarantee you, that's not the only thing they could have changed. Because that means if they gender swap the character, it means they had to bring in a voice actress to change the lines for that character. Makes sense. Which means that they likely changed certain aspects of the character overall. Explains why it's not very good. Explains why it's not very good at all, actually. All right. Jay still left a comment, but the chat jumped on me like it normally does. All right. Let us see. Let us see here. Oh, man, so many things. Jay Stowe says, "I just wonder why entertainment got in their heads that everyone wants to see themselves in every movie. I get characters we can get behind and sympathize with, but I don't go to a movie to see myself." Me neither, Jace. And most people don't. Most people see themselves in characters regardless of who they are, regardless of their gender, regardless of their race. Because good characters will have at least one quality that you can associate with, right? Good characters will at the very least have something that you can hold on to. Otherwise, it's not a good character. Or at the very least, it's a good character that you just can't connect to. But if it's a good movie, they're going to have other characters that are going to have at least one thing. You don't enjoy movies that you can't connect with. And I think that it's that mindset that has led them to this line of thinking where, oh, well, you can only enjoy a movie if you can connect. So we need to now make very clear. And what they've done by doing that is they've watered the characters down. And this is why I hate identity politics, because what they do is they basically try and strip a character of everything and just say, all right, this character is gay. And that is the sole focus of this character's motivation. And then we'll build a couple things around it, but that's the main thing. That's the starting off point. They'll say, oh, this character's female, right? I think that's probably what they did with Rey. Okay, well this is them in the writing room. Oh, well, we need to have a woman character. Oh, that's where we need to have a female, right? All right, let's start there. We have a female character. All right, what is her origin story? I don't know. We'll figure it out. And then they just slowly add things on. And then what you're left with is a shell of a character whose only purpose for existing is their gender or their orientation or any other number of issues. That's not how you write characters. That's how corporate minds think you write characters, but that's not how you actually write characters. And I don't understand it either, Jace, because all that it's done is led to really bad characters. And that's not just in Star Wars either. That's in a lot of different properties. Captain Dean Heist, thank you very much for the 3 ice cream donations. I appreciate it very much. Alexander says, I allegedly watched Mandalorian recently. That's not bad. It's not good, in quotation marks. Yeah, Mandalorian, the series, has some good episodes, has some bad episodes, so it's okay overall. Hybrid X13 says, wait, Odin, you were glitching? Odin works for Mr. Anderson, confirmed. We must protect Neo at all cost. All right, let's see what comments. Stop watching old movies or old TV should Hollywood has ruined them. What? Kyle, don't tell people how to live their life, man. That's not cool. Greta Zenner says, The Matrix came out in 99. I thought it did. I thought it was right on the cusp with the millennia. So thank you very much, Greta. Appreciate it. Rhaegar Targaryen says, simp doesn't describe people in relationships. It's more of an unequated love kind of thing, i.e. people who pay and watch thoughts on the internet. Yeah, I mean, I know. But it's fun. It's kind of like the okay boomer stuff. Like, people would say that to others that were obviously and clearly not of the boomer generation, but it just became a thing. I find it fun. Glowing the Hobbit says, some say rumor Amber Heard replaced by Emilia Clarke in Aquaman 2. Yeah, Amber Heard is not looking very good right now for a future in Hollywood because of her nonsense. You know what? She deserves it. Based on the things that I've heard from the recordings, she was totally the one in the wrong in her relationship with Johnny Depp. And I hope that she gets the fullest extent of the law brought down against her, because just because you're a Hollywood celebrity who has millions of dollars does not mean that you are better than the rest of us. And Emilia Clarke, she's good in stuff. She's bad in stuff. Who knows? I'm going to call BS on that glowing. And the reason why is because I think that is coming from someone who sees the relationship that those two actors had in Game of Thrones, and they want to see it happen again. And so they're saying, oh, it could be this person without any actual proof. That's at least how I'm looking at it. Everything from every company that comes out these days are not original. Leave my Valks alone, Kyle. Nana Reaper says they are going to remake Mean Girls and call it Catty Suburban Housewives. That's a good shout, Nana Reaper. I think Mean Girls could definitely be remade. That would be definitely a film that they would want to remake. Mike Jackson says the shiniest of the two turds. Exactly. The shiniest of the two turds. Rhaegar Targaryen says Edmund Mullen was so embarrassing and he turned out to be what Mitt Romney was. But at the time, he was the best option that I could feel fine voting for. So, Mikey Martinez says, how's it going, Odin? I hope you're having a great day. I know we're living in some weird times, but we will get through this. Always trust God. Amen, brother. Amen. Now is the time to start upping the prayers, not decreasing them. That is for damn sure. Mike Jackson says, so when are you broadcasting from your rose petal-filled tub? Let me know so I can skip that one. Oh, Mike Jackson, I'm never doing that. I'm never going to go. I'm never going Madonna. Never going the Madonna route. No, thank you. Oh, man. Glowing the Hobbit says, Portrait of a Lady on Fire is now streaming on Hulu. Yeah, I'm mixed on that film. I don't know if I really want to see it. 70B, it was a bot, and they kept on and on. I don't know if they were a bot, but they were definitely harassing, so that was definitely a fair shout. Nathan Slade, by the way, I'm sorry about asking the question again. I will try not to do it again. Nathan Slade, it's all good, man. It seriously is. I like being the angry Odin for a minute every now and then. It's fun. Captain Dean High says, why would I want to see myself on screen? I'm old, bald, and boring. That's why we want to see heroes on screen. Adam says, no issues with your stream on my end, but again, I am on a Mac. Oh, here we go again. For those who were not around at the very beginnings of this channel when I was building my PC, Lord knows and remembers those days, Adam would always say, well, you could just buy a Mac. And I was like, damn you. I'm not a fan of Apple. If I have not made that clear, then I should be. Captain Darkstar 57 says, I saw The Matrix while stationed in Saudi Arabia. Was the first digital movie I had ever seen. Wow, dude. Wow. Well, thank you for your service. I always forget that sometimes, that we have a lot of people that are members that are part of the channel that have served. So thank you very much for your service, man. Let's see. Tina says, he or she claimed to be asking me and Steph about movies on Disney, but kept repeating the same nonsense. It wasn't a talk, but demands and silliness. Tina ain't playing that, and Tina should not play that. Tina should never play that game. Absolutely. Michael Martinez, my cousin is going into the Navy here really soon. Not sure how CV will affect that. Well, hopefully it doesn't. Jay Stowe says, especially preaching at us with our favorite series, with getting their grubby hands on them and trying to reboot it is just a mess, and just to mess with the story. Exactly. Leave our stuff alone, man. Hamlet's Tragedy 89, thank you very much for the Canadian $2 super chat, says, for your hand sanitizer fund, Lord Odin. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I really need a TP fund instead, but I would actually need to have the TP in the store to buy in order to buy it in the first place. So, all righty, let's see. Father Chris Miller says, I like The Shape of Water the first time when it was named Splash. Yes, Splash. That's a good film. Soul Assassin says, do it already. Odin vs. Anna. HyperNex 13. Random question. Who is your favorite Universal Monsters character? Frankenstein, Wolfman, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Mummy, Dracula, Invisible Man. I have not seen all of the Universal Monsters, so I have not seen all of the original films. I will be honest about that up front. But based on that, I would say Frankenstein. The reason why Frankenstein is because I've always been intrigued by the character. I've always been intrigued by the question of the soul, because we can create life, but can we create the soul? Like, does the soul come back? There's a great musical. I know I'm going off on the deep end here. There's a great musical called Frankenstein the Musical, and it's an adaptation of the book, and I think it's pretty well done, and I love the music to it. It's great, but the musical focuses very much so on what does it mean to be alive? What does it mean to have life? And yeah, it's great. I recommend it highly. In fact, if you go to the Frankenstein the Musical website, if it's still up, I'm going to Google this right now. You will actually see a younger college-aged Odin on the website, because I saw it when it was off Broadway and they were trying to get it to Broadway. It never made it to Broadway. But basically, they interviewed a bunch of people. To give their original thoughts on it. And they interviewed me, and I got a poster. They offered me a poster if I reviewed it, and it was great. And I think they took the website down. It looks like there's a new off-Broadway version of it. Oh, man. What was that, 2007? Yeah. Maybe it was 2007. And I remember when I saw it, I said, I like this one better than Young Frankenstein, which was on Broadway at the time. I think they took the website down, sadly. Oh, man, I should have saved that video somehow. But anyway, yeah. Megan Martinez, do you think Tenet is going to get delayed? There's a very good chance. But if anyone's going to hold his feet on that, it's Christopher Nolan. Nolan is one of the few directors that has a lot of control over his projects, because he usually is also a lead producer on it as well. Excuse me. But yeah, I think that he will be one of the last ones to move his dates. Jay Stowe says, no, if they want to arrest me for watching the good stuff, then arrest, because I won't stop, says Jace. Damn right. Tina says, it would be Karloff's Mummy, because the story isn't so much a horror movie as a heartbreaking romance. He just wants to be reunited with his long-lost princess. That's a good point, too. The version of The Mummy that I always love, though, is a Disney Channel film called Under Wraps, because of the way they use the song, all by myself, don't want to be. But it kind of goes into that same mindset of the all just wanting to be reunited with the long-lost love. I know that you're probably like, how dare you say a Disney Channel movie in comparison to Karloff's Mummy? I know. But that's what I do sometimes. Going to Hobbit. Mulan gets a new July release date, but will theaters be open by then? It's a great question. I think it depends on what part of the country you're living in. I could see New York being shut down through July, but I could see my area being opened up by then. I could see West Virginia, places where there's not as many cases being open. But if it is true, Clownfish TV reported on it, if it is true that there's some financial issues going on with places like AMC, and there's questions of whether they'll reopen, or whether someone will buy them out, or whether some will reopen, some won't reopen. Even if theaters do reopen, doesn't mean that your theater is going to reopen. I think that's going to be the big thing. Tina says, at one point they told me not to go to any of them, even the cheap ones. And I said, I don't go to amusement parks ever. Their reply was, you've never been. Crazy talk. Yeah, it sounds like someone that was trying to rile your feathers. And theme parks are great, though. I love theme parks. Super says, ooh, you finally saw Two Popes. Brief thoughts? No, Super. I'm saving it for the review, damn it. I will get there. I promise. Generally, it's a positive one, though. Alice McCarthy says, I will say this. Birds of Prey sucked. I bought it because some things you can't say no to the wife. Yes, that is one where you should have said no, Alex. Alex, simp. Alex the simp. Nana Reaper, except for guns, you can buy guns because those companies are universally right-wing, other companies not so much. Yeah, that's actually a good point. That's actually a very good point. Nitrium says, The Peanut Butter Falcon was a pretty good film too. 8 out of 10. The Shape of Water was also good. Yes, the relationship was weird, but that was kind of the point. Star Trek had interspecies relationships too. Yeah, it's just, I just can't, no, Nitrium, no. But Peanut Butter Falcon so far has been fantastic. Stephanie B says, that is why we love you, Chief. You let us work and you support us. I always support my Valks. Always. Because y'all see things that I don't. And I trust you. I trust you. Oh my gosh, there's more. There's more comments. There's so much more. Could y'all start slowing down a little bit? Just a little bit so that I can get to my movie reviews? Because otherwise I'm going to have to skip a bunch of people and then do the movie reviews, and then no one's going to like that. So, oh boy. Okay. Oh my goodness. Why are there so many? How many people are watching right now? 88. Okay, well, at least that makes a little bit more sense. Let's see. Soul Assassin. Didn't Ahsoka like that boy senator? Yeah, I think he did. I think you're right about that. But they'll rewrite any character. Oh, she just didn't understand at the time. Like, they do that so often, where there's a character that's been in a relationship with someone beforehand, and then only later in their life, they're like, oh, I was actually this all along, but I just never knew it. That's crap. I call bull crap on that. Killy Chow says, mine is Bela Lugosi's Dracula because I'm into vampires, and if I was a vampire, I wouldn't mind having so many beautiful women as my vampire brides. Damn right, Keely. We actually watched, I believe it was Bela Lugosi's Dracula. We watched that for the channel during October of last year, I believe. And it was the first time that I had ever seen it, and I liked it. Nana Reaper, some good storytelling. We need some good storytelling in Star Wars. That's what we need. Yes, we need. Okay, need was missing from that. Yes, we need good storytelling in Star Wars. Star Wars is based on good storytelling. Look to the novels. Look to the EU. There's so many good stories out there. But alas, J Stowe says, so doing with Ahsoka what they did with 7 of 9 barf. Yep. Superman Gamer, and that is exactly why I didn't want another season of Clone Wars. Damn it, Disney. Yeah, that sucks, man. I did not know that they had gender swapped a character in these series. That pisses me off. Father Christopher Miller says, if I want to see myself in character, I'll just go back to watch Father Ted from the BBC. Father Ted, I think, is available on, is it Amazon Prime? I saw it available on one of the streaming services recently. I might have to start watching that. Father Christopher Miller says, drink. Okay, you got it. Bruce, awesome to hear you've watched Enemy at the Gate and Vanishing Point, even if you hated them. I'll get to my thoughts on them. Aiden Vickery. Okay, Odin, I recall you saying you not enjoy Eraserhead, so in your view, is it bad or too much art for the sake of art? Yeah, I mean, but see, to me, that makes the film bad, for me. Because if you are more style than substance, then to me, it's not a good movie or a good TV show. If the whole time I'm like, what the hell is going on? This makes no sense. Like, if there's a film where you have to like dive and say, oh, well, it's symbolic of this, and when you have to explain that much, when it's like you have to explain almost the entire movie, no, I can't get on board with that. So. Twirly Wolf was a new member of the channel. So Twirly Wolf, what's going on? Speaking of badly written characters, back in 1998, I was in a meeting with Lucasfilm, and Jar Jar was pitched in a serious Chewbacca-like character. I designed children's sleeping bags and play tents. Really, Twirly Wolf? That's awesome. Wow, so you were in there talking about that stuff because you were going to design stuff. That's awesome, man. Darkness, what's going on? Peter Ham, what's going on, man? Glinzer says the chat has guaranteed you can't do movie reviews on stream, pretty much. As I said, I'll probably just wait till the very end and then just go straight through and then just say no more comments. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Super Anime Gamer, so true. And the craziest part is that by following that method for character creation and writing, they don't realize how low-key, insanely bigoted they are. Yep, exactly. Peter Han says, I thought Brie Larson was replacing Amber Heard in everything. Dear Lord, please, God, no. Nathan Slay, how good of a decade for movies do you think the 2000s were? Pretty good. It's always so funny because people say, what was your favorite film of this decade? Or what did you think of this decade of film? And it's like, you do realize that there are so many movies, thousands of movies that come out in a 10-year period. And for me to try and rack my brain to remember what film came out in what year, I just have never been very good at that. If I have a list in front of me, I can be like, oh, I remember this, I remember that. But can't do much more than that. Keely Chow says, I agree when it comes to Amber Heard. Yeah, Amber Heard is bah. Tina says, oh, good grief. I forgot Jason Momoa was even in season 1 of Game of Thrones, since I only saw half of season 1. So that's why the Emilia Clarke mention. Yeah, and I think that's the reason why there's that rumor floating around. It's because people want to see those two back together on screen, not because it's actually going to happen. If it did happen, though, I mean, it could work, maybe, but I'm ambivalent towards it. As you all know, I'm ambivalent towards things dealing with Aquaman. It wasn't a bad movie. I wasn't a fan of the CG. The CG was too bad. CG was too bad for me. I gave it a C+. I think that's fair. I thought it was a fair grade. My Valks still hate every time I talk about Aquaman because they loved it. They loved it. And hey, I understand. Slasher Neon says, you don't have enough plastic to go Madonna. That is also true. You're right. I don't. All right. Let's take care of this right now. Bye-bye. No Turkish garbage in this chat on DLive. Sorry. And that's not a shot against Turkey, by the way. It's just there's a bunch of Turkish trolls that always post random Turkish stuff. Super Anime Gamer, yeah, I don't buy it either. It was reported that after the reception of her Terminator and Solo, it convinced her to step away from blockbusters. Yeah, and see, I would believe that more, because when an actress is put on to the spotlight and put into a major franchise and is put into properties that people hate, It's makes sense that people would step away from that. Tina says, we're not going to see Odin in his bathtub surrounded by rose petals. Damn, I was going to pop popcorn and tune in for that train wreck. I won't do it. However, I'm amazed, and if it's happened, please let me know. Someone needs to reach out to Exaggeration Nation, Jesse, on Twitter, because if anyone would do it, it would be Exaggeration Nation. If you've never seen his videos before, he is hysterical. That's something I would watch. Him doing the rose petals video. Please someone mention that to him so that way he can do it. That'd be fantastic. Then you can pop your popcorn. Nathan Slay, to me, WALL-E is extremely overrated. WALL-E the movie. I like WALL-E. We actually, the wife and I recently watched it. Rather, she was watching it. I think it was after a stream. I came in and watched the last hour of it. And I was like, I forgot how cute this movie is. I like it. Does it have issues? Sure. Does it preach? Yeah, but that was before I think they became too preachy, because it had a good story underneath it too. If a movie has a good story underneath it and it preaches a little bit, I can usually get by. But when the message becomes the sole purpose of the film, that's when it becomes hard. Nathan Slay, got you already. Nana Reaper says, Odin, when I get back to the USA, I will send you a copy of Air America. Well, thank you, Nana Reaper. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Luke Skywalker 45 Baby says, for some odd reason, dystopian movies are super appealing to me right now. It makes sense. We're living in dystopian times, so it's kind of like life imitating art, though I probably didn't use that phrase correctly. That's why I think in the next 5 years, we're either going to get a lot of apocalyptic movies, or what I hope, a lot more upbeat, positive, maybe even patriotic ones. That'd be great. Tina B, that's a fascinating approach to Frankenstein. I love how Karloff made him seem so human, and you could often sympathize with him. And that's also what they do in the musical version as well. Just also, I think the songs are fantastic. Some people are saying, Odin's going off the deep end. Let's see. Glowing to Hobbit says, I still believe was a sweet film, but you can skip it because the film was generic. Yeah. It seemed like it. It seemed like one of those generic, religious type films, and I tend not to like those as much. But I'm glad to hear it's sweet, though, and they usually are. And you know what? Sometimes we need that. Sometimes we need films that are just sweet, that are just, family-friendly, good time. Keely Chow, I would be in a rose petal-filled bath, but there was a 16-year-old in it. R. Kelly, oh, no. No, Keely, no. No. Oh, no. No, that's so bad. Tina, how dare you? How dare you? In my best Greta Thunberg voice, context The Mummy and Ew Disney. Yes. How dare you say that Under Wraps is better? Well, to be honest, I have not seen the original Mummy film, so that's what I speak to. But Megan Martinez, the summer box office looks like it's going to be quiet this year, but look on the bright side, at least we have a lot of movies coming out in November and December. That's true, but we'll be in school then, and we'll probably not be doing remote learning then, which is probably for the best, because even though I like certain elements of remote learning, it also creates a lot more complications, like collecting work and being told you can't do certain things. And yeah, there's been some drama behind the scenes already that I don't like. I don't like drama. Father Christopher Miller says, my review of the two popes in one word, garbage, says Father. Whoa, Father. Now, Father, are you basing that off of it not being historically accurate or on the filmmaking process? Because I can understand if you're coming from this is not based in reality. If you're criticizing it for that, I totally understand you. I totally understand you from that point. But as a from the filmmaking perspective, I think there's a different take. Not giving too much away now. Hannah Reaper, never been to amusement park because of the cost. Yeah, I hear you there, man. I recommend Six Flags has a really good deal where you can get a membership and you pay like $8 or $9 a month, and you can go to any Six Flags park when they're open across the country. So if you're near one, it's a great deal. If you're not near one, maybe not. But if you love theme parks, for me, I was like, hell yeah, I'm getting this, because there's also other benefits you get. You get discounts on parking, things like that. But I think that's a pretty good deal, because if you go to the park twice in a year, to any park twice in a year, any Six Flags park twice in a year, pays for itself. But yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from. All right, chat's about to jump on me again. Let's see how many more questions and comments I have now. Dear Lord. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. This is crazy. Oh, my goodness. So many more. So many more. There's just so many comments. I love it, but I thought it was going to be a nice slow night. I love it, though. Y'all are great. We still got 83 people watching. Thank y'all for being here. Please smash the like button while you're here, too. Riff Magos, what's going on, man? Let me open that up on the big screen. That way I can read the whole thing. Oh, Lord. I have to sign in this whole thing. This whole complicated thing. It's so complicated. All right. Let's get to my analytics. All right, Riff Magos, thank you very much for the $5 donation via Streamlabs, and thank you again for donating directly via Streamlabs, because YouTube does not get a cut of that. Riff Magos says, Hail Odin, I found a book at my still open bookstore, Dystopia Utopia Short Stories. I found it appropriate. I hope you're doing well. That is extremely appropriate. Riff Magos, let me know, man, if it's good, if the short stories are any good. I like that, though. Dystopia Utopia Short Stories. I just like that title. I could see why walking into a store and seeing that title, you would say, that sounds interesting. I want to see more about that. Let me know how it is, man. Luke Skywalker 45 Baby says, you are on track for a Doomcock Link live stream today. That's not going to happen. We're at 1 hour and 38 minutes, and I'm not going that much over 2 hours. I can't. I physically can't. I still technically haven't eaten dinner yet either. So Alice McCarthy says, you try saying no to my wife. She might be under 5 feet, but those are the scary ones. I'm saying it right now. No. And I'm not scared. I might be trembling a little bit, but I'm not scared. Micah Martinez, I have 20 movies on my watch list for this month, and I hope I get all or most of them. Micah Martinez, nice, dude. I need to create a watch list to keep myself more accountable, but... Nathan Slay, I love this community. I'm very happy to be a subscriber on your channel. Everyone's so nice here. Thank you, Nathan Slay. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, sometimes I can get, Hold on. Steady B says, you said bullcrap. I did say bullcrap. You're right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if that offended anyone. Mr. P.I. says, Frankenstein musical song list. When do I get these stitches out? Me and my moldy feet. These doorways are too short. Peabody, if anyone could write those songs, it'd be you, man. Drake is 6. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Says, have you seen Father Brown? Both series are fun. No, I've actually never seen Father Brown. I've heard of it. And I think it's available on Amazon Prime or one of their streaming services. But no, I've never seen it. But thank you for that super chat, man. I appreciate it. Father Christopher Miller says, Father Ted is on BritBox. It's I want to say, maybe it was Father Brown. One of those series with a comedy with a father was on it. Nitrium says, so Odin, you don't feel two hypothetical sentient species can come together. Lord of the Rings had an elf and human falling in love too. Is there a hard line where it suddenly becomes a problem in fiction? For me, I think it comes down to the fact that even though technically the Shape of Water's creature is a humanoid, not that, I mean, an elf is, I think we could definitely get into a debate about how it's portrayed in the film versus how it's portrayed in the books. But the way that it's portrayed in the movie, elves are very human-like. In the book, maybe not so much. That's why the 1970s cartoon version of The Hobbit's probably the most accurate to what they might look like. But like, for example, if there was an orc having a relationship with an elf, I probably wouldn't like that. So there, for me, I guess you could say there would be a line. Father says, guessing Odin hasn't seen Father Ted as one of the characters as an alcoholic priest who keeps yelling drink. No, I have not. That's why I said I think it was on something else. Keely Chow says 7 of 9 is still hot. Wait, what? What? Now I'm confused. Father says, in addition to a few other words I won't mention here, I can only imagine. Slicer says, Senator Bontieri's son, Lux, I call bullcrap too. They call it non-consenting sex conversion therapy the other way around, but silent for their agenda. Hypocrites. Yeah, here's the thing. If an individual person who's an adult wants to go to therapy for a wide variety of things, they should be allowed to go. Because some people might not want to hear this. And this is not everyone, right? This is not everyone. And I'm not saying anyone should be forced to go to therapy at all. However, there have been people, adults, who have lived a certain lifestyle their entire life, chose to go to therapy, and have been able to develop a different orientation. It's happened. Like, go ahead, look on YouTube. There are plenty. There was an entire rally done in DC featuring about 20 plus people, which again is not a whole lot of people, but still 20 people who were a part of the LGBTQAIP plus whatever it is now community and chose by themselves saying, hey, you know what, whether it was out of religious reason or what, I want to go to therapy. And they were able to develop a different orientation. I mean, I can't really speak to them and say, oh, yeah, they're faking it or they were faking it beforehand. I mean, how can one actually say that to anyone, right? That's why I would never tell anyone how to live their life. I would never tell anyone who to love. But I think everyone should have the right to make those decisions for themselves. And that's why it ticks me off when these senators and stuff say, oh, no, we can't allow that. It's like, you won't allow, again, I understand people forcing people to go to certain things. That's where we can get some, okay, no, we shouldn't do that. Forced therapy, especially if it's non-life threatening, that's where I draw the line for me. Charlie Wolf says, Lucasfilm was a trip. Oh, I bet you have a lot of stories. Jay Stowe says, never said she wasn't, just not into what they did with the character. Wait, what? Context. Nitrium, the creature in the shape of water was at least essentially humanoid. I bought it. Most of the film worked for me, at least, including the relationship. And again, I'm glad it did for you. It just didn't for me. Alice Harley says, I cashed in the remaining of my no points on Terminator Woke Fate and shaving my head. Damn. Bruce says, contrary to popular belief, the decade isn't over yet. Yes, Bruce, depending on how you count it, you're technically right. Nana Reaper, at least if they made about my profession, I would be played by Tom Hanks, since he did make Captain Phillips. There you go. Kaylee Chow, what do you think of the movie about Carol Baskin, movie starring Brie Larson as Carol Baskin? Yes. Now that's a movie I would love. If Brie Larson played the husband-killing Carol Baskin, then yes, because she totally fed her husband to a tiger. Saying it right now. Nana Reaper, Turkish coffee is great. I'm sure it is. I am sure it is. CWD Trixie says, for something fun to watch, have you watched Mahler's GDELB video? I have no idea, because I don't know what that stands for. Miami Yeti, why hasn't Hollywood remade Dick Tracy? If they do, it will be Tracy Dick. Yeah, I don't know why they haven't, but you're right. That's definitely what they would do. Stephanie B, I'm right there with you. She says, I hope it's upbeat movies that we get for the next 5 years. Yes, I would agree. I hope that it has been. Tina says, I think it's been kind of tasteless that Amazon is now running a bunch of movies about deadly viruses. Oh, Tina, Netflix, I mean, this I don't think is as much on Netflix as it is on the people who have Netflix. The trending movies there are, it's like pandemic and basically anything dealing with a virus. It's trending right now on these places, which might actually be true, but who is to say? Nana Reaper, Dr. Frankenstein was a monster. His creature was a victim. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I also love about the musical version, because it helps to dive into it, because I was one of those kids that grew up thinking that Frankenstein was the monster and not realizing that he was simply the creature. So in the musical, the character is simply known as the creature. And then, of course, you have Dr. Frankenstein. Frankenstein. I was thinking of Frankenstein. Dr. Frankenstein. Soul Assassin, have you seen that Disney movie, Suzy Q? It had Pink Power Ranger in it. Yes, I have. Oh, Suzy Q. Yes, I have. That's actually a very intriguing film, but yes, I have seen it. Not in a very long time, though. Killy Chow, what do you think of Star Wars movies starring Brie Larson as Avar Kriss? No. I don't want Brie Larson anywhere near it. Father says historically accurate. Okay, yeah. That is a good reason to have issues with it, for sure. But as a movie, I think there's a different opinion to be had. Jay Stowe says, this end of days and dystopia talk. Now I need to pop in Metropolis, Soylent Green, and Mad Max. I've only seen Mad Max out of the films that you've just mentioned. Father says, want a good papal movie, Shoes of the Fisherman with Anthony Quinn as the first Russian pope from the 1960s. I actually, as soon as the film ended, I actually did want another. I like religious movies, but not like God's Not Dead religious films, but like historical ones that, I don't know, have appealing characters. But what did you say there? You mentioned Shoes of the Fisherman. You've mentioned that to me before. Shoes of the Fisherman. I wonder if they have a Blu-ray release for that one. Sounds like that'd be the type of film that they would only have on DVD, but we'll figure that out. All right. Okay, let's see. Where are we? Where are we in the chats? Oh, man. Oh, my goodness. I don't think. Oh, my gosh. All right. Now is the time to rapid fire. Oh, my goodness. There's so many more. Okay, let's rapid fire this. Also, Leo McKern. Oh, we're talking about for the actors in it, I'm assuming. Again says, I won't call it generic since it's a biopic about Jeremy Camp's personal life. Unfortunately, a lot of faith movies just have no budget. It really shows, but I still believe the song A+. Nice, Slicer Neon. Yeah, and the sad thing about those two is that because of that, they can't get good actors often. And I think it's the acting that normally, acting or writing is normally what sinks those films for me. And Laurence Olivier, he says, Father. Jay Stowe, the pre-Texas Chainsaw Massacre. What? The pre-Texas. Father says, slow night. What else do we have to do? You literally have a captive audience. This is very true. This is very true. Hi, X13. My brother, do you still know the way? Show me the way to your movie reviews. I'm trying, man. Tina says, I hate peppering you with other comments. But I saw Cabin in the Woods. I saw part of Cabin in the Woods, and wow, I just glared at the screen and asked, why is Chris Hemsworth in it? Oh, I love Cabin in the Woods. Keep watching it. Give it some time. It grows on you. Father Christopher Miller says, Father Brown BBC series is awesome, also on BritBox. Father Ted is also on Vivo. But one of them are on like a main service because I saw it recently. Demongenai, what's going on, brother? How's it going, man? Hope you're doing fine. Father says, Father Brown's Mark Williams plays Rory Williams' father in Doctor Who. Oh, nice. Nana Reaper, but orcs are corrupted elves. Yeah, but they don't look like it. They sure as hell don't look like it in the movie. That's my main point. Peter Han says, I don't care what you say. Dunkirk is an overly long, boring war movie. I'm on your side, Peter. I go after Jeremy all the time because of his love of Dunkirk. It's not a bad movie. It's overrated, though. Father Christopher Miller says, Drake is 6. He is a character from the great G.K. Chesterton. Huh? What? Context. Father, what about death therapy? What about Bob? Death therapy! Oh, what about Bob? I'm so happy I saw What About Bob. Soul Assassin, I thought The Shape of Water was a spinoff of a Hellboy from the trailers. Yeah, well, the reason why, fun fact, the guy that is in the suit of the creature from that movie is the same actor who plays one of the characters in Hellboy. He's also, he does almost everything from, Guillermo del Toro has a lot of actors that he uses over and over again. So you know the guy from, what's it called? But anyway, he's the one that has like the hands for eyes, Pan's Labyrinth. So basically he's always like one of the main characters in Suits. He was also in Hellboy. So that actually kind of makes sense. And it was also Guillermo del Toro who did it too. Hybrid X13, ever tried a Turkish Delight? I like them and find them delicious. I've only ever heard of Turkish Delight from the... I was going to say Cabin in the Woods, but it's not Cabin in the Woods. Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. That's the only time I've ever heard of those. Alex Riley says, Force therapy ain't that like you're having trouble using the Force. Jay Stowe, that was a response to the one dude's hot comment of 7 of 9. She still is yes, just don't like what they are doing on the character. I'm so confused. A father says, it's Igor. It's Igor. Okay, I understood that reference. It's Igor. Okay. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Oh, no. I thought I was getting through them. Oh, my goodness. Let's see. Alex McCarthy says, Young Frankenstein, putting on the Ritz. Putting on the Ritz. Alice McCarthy, of course, Chris is streaming on Twitch. Of course she is. Bruce says, just an FYI, Sci-Fi is having a Sharknado marathon tomorrow. Oh, my goodness. Keely Chow, Cabin in the Woods is one of the movies that is on my must-watch list. It's fun. It is a fun, dark comedy. Father Christopher Miller says, Father Brown is a character from G.K. Chesterton, the great English writer. Okay. Got it. Okay. Did not know that. I know who J.K. Chesterton is. Did not know Father Brown was one of his characters, though. Slicer Dion says, Doug Jones, thank you. Yes. Doug Jones as Abe Sapien. Thank you. Yes, indeed. Jay Stowe, the pre-Texas Chainsaw Massacre was a comment to Soylent Green, trying to bring up the ending. Oh, okay, gotcha. Greta Zena says, Doug Jones is one of those, is most of the creatures in Guillermo del Toro's films, including the fawn in Pan's Labyrinth. Yeah, Doug Jones, that's the guy I was looking for. Hybrid X13, if it's one thing I like from Guillermo del Toro, I love his character designs. Miami Yeti, have you done a review of Tank Girl yet? Have not seen Tank Girl yet. Superman Gamer, I believe the actor's name is Doug Jones. Yes. Father Christopher Miller says Alec Guinness played Father Brown in the 1950s. It's what led him to become a Catholic. Nice, Father. Okay, cool. Okay, got through all those comments. Drake is sick. Super chat for $2. Thank you very much, man. Says Father Brown on PBS stations and BritBox. I could have sworn it's from something else. I could have sworn. All right, so I'm not going to read any more comments. If you leave a comment and I don't read it, I'm sorry. I was trying my best to get through them. Let's go ahead and review some movies because I do have a movie blog, and so allegedly I review films from time to time. So anyway, we'll go back a little bit. Let's just do a full thing here because I already did a full review of that one. I have not done a full review of this one. All right, cool. So it's story time with Odin. Anyway, first film on review is a film called Eraserhead from 1977. Now, this film right here, I had a lot of issues with. And the reason why is because the film is, I believe, more style over substance. I think that it spends so much time trying to gross you out, spends so much time trying to be over thoughtful, have basically the audience be over analytical into looking into every single moment, every single topic, every single line, every single image that you see. And it's meant to make you go, what the hell's going on? And any film that does that is more art housey and really is more avant-garde style filmmaking, I've always had issues with. I took classes in college, one specifically a film video class, where we had to watch a lot of avant-garde movies, including one where we had to watch a woman give birth in a bathtub. Yes, I've seen a lot of things in my life because of that class. So I've always had issues with avant-garde style filmmaking. This movie, Eraserhead, had a lot of those issues. And so here's some of the notes that I wrote down. I wrote bizarre, art house. Creepy sound design, well done. So the sound design on the film, if I had to say anything positive about it, sound design is actually very, very well done because it's very creepy. It creates this ethereal space. Wish that we had more to it. It was also nicely shot. Cinematography, for the most part, was very well done. It was very well put together. Again, the skill is there behind the camera and even in the editing room too. The issue that I had was in the writing room. I don't think the story was well written. I think that, as I said before, the director on that, which I believe is David Fincher, decided to spend so much more time on grossing people out and trying to tell a deep, compelling story without telling the story in the first place and trying to make people figure things out for themselves too much. I don't like that a lot. The makeup design for the film is very well done. It's all practical effects, and I do love the use of practical effects in films. I put innovative visual effects, creepy practical effects, very well done for the most part there. Unique cinematography as well. I put weird, and then I put in parentheses, no score, because I don't really remember a score in the film. I remember that there were songs in the film, that there were various sounds that you heard throughout the movie as well. However, I don't remember there being specifically a score for the movie. Now, there very well could have been, but if it was there, it was not noticeable, which is both, I guess, good and bad, because you want to have a compelling score that helps support the story, but then at the same time, too, you don't want to have a score that you remember for the wrong reasons as well. I put here that it was bizarre and boring, and that there were random chaotic sounds throughout the movie that just really creeped me out, and I don't think added anything to it. And I gave this film a solid D. And I'm probably one of the only persons that you're ever going to see on the internet give a film like Eraserhead from 1977 a D, because most people tend to love the movie. Was not my cup of tea, personally. So that's my quick review of Eraserhead. Next film to go over is Gone in 60 Seconds. So the first thing I have to say about this film is a 1974 film. In the very beginning, there are a lot of voiceover work. So instead of you seeing two characters talking to each other on the screen, all you do is you hear characters talking, but you don't actually see it happening. And so you're seeing something else happening on screen. And so my ADD mind is looking at this saying, wait, I can't process. Wait, I'm hearing a conversation going on between two characters who are not on screen right now, but I'm seeing other characters doing very different things. It drove me crazy. So anyway, this is from the 1974 edition of Gone in 60 Seconds. This is not the remake version that many of you are probably aware of, but that kind of drove me crazy in the very beginning with the voiceover. I wrote down a few notes here. It says, great music. The music to this film is fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed the music. Very good choice there. The opening sequence is also very well done. It's very well shot, very well put together. The camera work is a little wonky from time to time, though. So even though the opening sequence is very well done, there's some random sequences in between that just... there's this shakiness to it that just doesn't quite match what you're watching, and it just kind of bothers me a little bit. The car breakdown is very, very cool. There's a scene where car thieves basically take apart an entire vehicle, and that sequence is done very well and is great. Voiceover, a little distracting with the car. Yeah, so there's also voiceover going on when a car is being driven. Again, drove me insane. Odd pacing, it was also hard to hear. So the other reason why I had issues with the characters not on screen talking, and instead you hearing characters behind the scenes, is that you couldn't read their lips. And so if I ever got lost because the sound design just wasn't very well done for this movie, and you really couldn't hear any of the dialogue, you didn't have people to look at until later in the movie. So in the very beginning, you're just left with, wait, what did they just say? Wait, is that relevant to the plot? What is the plot? What is going on right now? I felt very confused for watching the very beginnings of the film. And by the end of it, when you finally get characters and get some element of a story, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense overall. There's very poor lighting too. There's night scenes where you can't see anything. It reminded me a lot of Game of Thrones. During one of the battles where the lighting is so bad that you can't see anything going on. And the directors then, or rather the producers said, oh, it's your TV sucks, basically was their excuse. This one makes more sense because you could tell it's probably a lower budget movie. It was made in the 1970s. So they were dealing with various film stocks. They probably didn't have that much of a lighting budget in the first place. And so for me, I was able to let that go because it's a night scene. There's only so much you can do during that time. There is an excessively long chase. So the main thing that Gone in 60 Seconds deals with is it all builds up to what has to be about a 20-minute car chase. I didn't time it all together, but it had to have been about a 20-minute car chase altogether. And holy crap. I wrote down at the end, why? And I just like, wait a minute. I can understand it being a 10-minute car chase scene. That'd be okay. But then it kept going. And then once you thought it was over, it kept going. And then when you thought it was over, it kept going. I've never said for any car chase scene in any movie, please stop. That's what I felt for this movie by the end of it, because it ends with this car chase. It ends with it, and it goes to 23 minutes. And the whole time I'm like, why is this car chase going on? What is the purpose of this being as long as it is? The filming of it isn't even really that clever. Again, it's all practical, so it's real cars, real stunt workers working on the movie, but it lacks reason, and it kind of lacks any sense of explanation as to why it exists in the first place. And so for Gone in 60 Seconds, I gave this movie a C+. Because it has some things going for it. I can see what they were trying to do, but overall, it's very, very messy. The car chase scene goes on way too long. Had it been half as long, it probably would have been a more bearable experience. And the voiceover work that happens in the very beginning is just very... it's just very distracting overall. So that's my opinion and thoughts on Gone in 60 Seconds, the 1974 edition. The next film, how y'all doing, by the way? I see some people are still leaving some comments, so you guys are awesome. Thank y'all for being here and for putting up with this. But it's something that I wanted to do. So anyway, the next movie on my list is Vanishing Point. Vanishing Point from 1971. And I actually had very little to say about this movie because even though it's somewhat similar to Gone in 60 Seconds, what I can say is that Vanishing Point is a much better made film. I wrote down it has great shots, good edits. There's a lot of really great cuts in this movie. This also features what is essentially a nonstop car chase scene too. However, there's pauses in it. There's pacing that happens in the film as well. There's characters that you can clearly see. You can hear everything that they say. You know exactly the motivations for the characters that are going on. And so because of that, it's a more enjoyable experience. And so I wrote down, it is a bit of a rambling story. So even though you can understand more about what the story is, it does ramble from time to time, especially towards the end. There's also a scene in there where there's a girl who's completely naked riding on a motorbike. And when that scene happened, I was just like, why is this in here? Does this serve any real purpose? And you could argue it's 1971. That's kind of what they were trying to go for in films like this. It was edgy, etc. But I've never really been fond of that. I've never really found any purpose for it in the film overall. But because it does towards the end start to ramble on a little bit more, and you start to, again, kind of similar to Gone in 60 Seconds, you start to question, okay, why are these characters doing the things that they're doing? What is their, okay, we know that the character is trying to deliver this car to a certain location, but why does he feel the need to go through this process? And then the very end of the film happens, and you're like, okay, I just went through, and this is the reason why it went down a grade in my grading of the film, is because you go through this journey with this character. You go through this entire chase scene, and it's a great chase scene. It's very well done. It's much better than Gone in 60 Seconds, which is amazing, seeing that this film is 3 years earlier than Gone in 60 Seconds. I find that fascinating that the two, only have a few years difference, and the earlier film has the better shot, is overall a better shot film. But the movie ends, and it ends with a car blowing up. And as soon as that car blew up at the end of the movie, I was like, what was the point? I was like, what was the point of this? I just sat through that entire film, followed this character, going through hell and back, escaping every single thing possible. And then at the very end of the movie, and if you don't want to know spoilers for this film, this is Vanishing Point from 1971, then cover your ears for 5 seconds. But at the end of the movie, he drives his car directly into some equipment and it explodes. He kills himself. So the whole movie, I'm like, okay, we're getting somewhere. Okay, he's going to make it or he's going to get caught. And instead, no, he rams his car in full speed into this equipment. And I'm like, what was the purpose of this movie? Why does this movie exist? Why should I care about this movie at all? So I'm sure it has something to do with the time period. I'm sure that it's, one could argue that it's he was fighting against the man and he was not going to let the man beat him. And so that's the reason why he'd rather die than do this. Okay. I can understand why someone might argue that. But for me, I just couldn't help but just literally grab my head and went, what in the hell? Why? Why did we just go through that for him just to blow up at the very end of it? So, originally this film was gonna be in the B range, but this film actually also gets a C+ from me as well. Just because I will say this much. it's a better made movie than Gone in 60 Seconds. So even though it has the same grade, Vanishing Point is the better made film. You can understand more about what's going on in the film. It's better shots, got very good editing throughout. But the ending to me is just, oh my, I just don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Yep, Tina, exactly. All right, moving on to a film that I actually, this is actually a more positive review. So this is a film called Enemy at the Gates from 2001. So this is actually a later film. So Enemy at the Gates from 2001. I wrote down here, great visual effects. And so what I love about this movie is that it uses actual fire, actual explosions, real effects. This is still before the CG era where everything became CG green screen nonsense. So all the explosions you see are real. The fire is real. Everything that you see is done using practical effects. And so the visual effects throughout the film are fantastic. There's tension that's being built throughout the film as well, because the main storyline deals with two snipers, one of which is a part of, so this is during World War II. It's set during the 1940s, and it's set when Germany is basically encroaching into Russia. And it comes down to this, the very beginning has like this map, and it shows you this is where the end battle, or this like the what was going to determine whether Germany was victorious or not in that area of the world was going to happen. And so it's the story of a sniper on the Russian side going up against a sniper on the German side. It's basically what the basic plot element of the story is. And so because of that, there's great tension throughout the entire film, because you have these scenes where they're waiting a long time, they're looking through their sights, they're trying to figure out and basically telegraph the next person's move, which is great. So there's a lot of tension built throughout the film with that. There's also great character development. You care about the characters, and so when things happen to some of them, you care that it's happening to them on screen, and that's something that's very good. Something that the other movies I mentioned that did not have. You just didn't really care about the characters because you didn't really know them. This develops the characters very well, I would say, and so there's great tension. One of the biggest issues that I have with this movie, though, and this is one that definitely impacts my grade of the film, is the fact that they did not have any type of Russian or German accents going on for the main characters. And when you look at the fact that the main actors are people like Jude Law, Rachel Weisz, and Ed Harris, I'm sorry, but those are very talented actors. And even though this is 2001, I know at the very least, Jude Law and Rachel Weisz would have been able to pull off some type of accent. I've never really heard Ed Harris try anything else, but Ed Harris was playing a German. I'm pretty sure he could have at least tried to do some type of accent, even if the accents were bad. If they had at least tried to do it, it would have been nice. That's something that bothers me, and not just in this movie, but in any movie that deals with different countries. When you have, like, for example, I would say a good modern example would be Les Miserables, right? So Les Miserables, I don't know why I just stuttered on that, but Les Miserables, that film, the musical version, features all British actors, all speaking in their fun British accents, even though they're in France. So, like, it just, that kind of stuff always just kind of gets to me, because it takes me out of the movie for a second, especially when you're dealing with a certain area of the world. It's Germany versus Russia. There's so many fun accents to be had there, and they just kind of gloss over it, and they don't even use Russian or German really at any point in the movie. I think that could have added to it, but solid acting throughout, great tension throughout, great use of visual effects, really compelling story. There is a sex scene that happens too, where I was like, really? You don't see anything, but I just feel like they could have, had them kiss and then fade away, and then it would have been fine. You wouldn't have had to do that. But yeah, so overall, because of those things being very good, but the accents not being that great, I gave this film a solid B. So this is a solid B for me. Again, it's not a film that I would feel the need to watch over and over again. It's not a film that I feel like I would need to watch again anytime soon, but it is a film that I can definitely recommend. It's a film that I would say, if you have any interest in history, I don't know if it's historically accurate or not. I'm sure people in the comment section are going to let you know about that. But I would say that overall, it's a solid film. It's an enjoyable experience. It deals with an interesting part of history that I've never heard of. I've never heard of this story between that's really not part of the war from World War II that you hear about. Normally it's the Americans or the British, right? Those are usually the two sides, the two part of the Allied powers that you usually hear about. you don't really hear much about the Russian side. You really don't hear about Russia versus Germany during that time when Germany was trying to expand. So I like that a lot. The sniper aspect of the film is also very compelling too. So a solid B for this film, I think is very, very fantastic. All right. I see some people have commented. So one of them is my Valkyrie. So my Valkyrie I'll talk to. Tina says, yeah, that sex scene in Enemy at the Gates had me getting up to leave the room, and I was watching it on home video. Yeah, I mean, it was sexy, but it was also very, I feel very uncomfortable right now because it was happening. It happens between two soldiers that are sleeping, who are asleep. And I'm like, oh, that's a little weird for me. Well, it's a little too much. It was a little too much. And Bruce agrees with Vanishing Point. Why am I here? What is the purpose? Yes, I agree. I totally do agree with that. All right, the next film on my list. Let's see. I've got this one and then Onward for anyone that's wondering. So let's see. How many people are still here? 66 people. So 20 people said, I don't want to hear his thoughts on movies. He has a movie blog. Patooey. He's not going to read my comments. Patooey. So thank you for those that are stuck around. I appreciate it. So anyway, The Two Popes. The Two Popes is a film that came out in 2019. It actually got some Oscar nominations for its performances from Anthony Hopkins and also, what's his first name? Price. His last name, though. So very talented actor. In fact, you know what? Let's see. The Two Popes. I want to say Richard Price, but it's not Richard Price. It's like, I don't know why. I don't know why I want to say that. Where is it? Anthony Hopkins and oh, come on. Jonathan Pryce. There it is, Jonathan Pryce. So anyway, all right, let's get back to it. All right, so The Two Popes is a 2019 film starring Anthony Hopkins and Jonathan Pryce. Jonathan Pryce plays Pope Francis. Or at the time of the film's beginning, Jorge Bergoglio. So that's Pope Francis before he became Pope. That's when he was a bishop. And Anthony Hopkins, who plays Pope Benedict XVI from the very beginning of his time being chosen. So it actually starts off with the conclave after the death of John Paul II, and then goes into the conclave of him becoming a pope, and then goes through, kind of fast forwards through his papacy, and then goes towards the end of his papacy. That's where a lot of the film deals with, is a conversation and meeting between Pope Benedict XVI and Bishop Jorge Bergoglio. And then eventually, of course, that leads into the stepping down of Pope Benedict XVI during 2013. Yes, during 2013, the conclave that then elects Pope Francis, Jorge Bergoglio, to the office of the papacy. And so I will say that the film overall, Father was mentioning this earlier in the stream, it is definitely historically questionable, and I would say most of it could easily be debunked as far as whether these meetings happened, what they actually talked about. Because here's the problem. When you have two important figures like this meeting, you are basically having to assume what they are talking about. You can't really get accurate conversations that are private between two individuals in any capacity, especially at this high level of the Vatican, right? I can't imagine that anyone could have honestly gotten an accurate interpretation of what Pope Benedict XVI and a bishop of the church were having in private with one another. And so because of that, they obviously make a lot of and have a lot of creative license with the movie, adding in a lot of commentary, adding in a lot of doubts that they assume Pope Benedict XVI had, which again is them assuming something. It assumes stuff of Pope Francis as well. But overall, it's a very pro-Francis film. And so as a Catholic, I have my issues with the current state of the Vatican. I think that there's a lot of confusion right now in the Catholic Church. I don't think that that's a good thing. There's a lot of great things that I think Pope Francis has done, but I think there's also a lot of bad things that have been done too in the way that he's handled various issues. But this film definitely is more on his side, because there's this mindset that it's been, and that there's this almost this like this battle between Pope Benedict and Pope Francis, when in reality, I think that's mostly been overblown. There's definitely people that are pro Pope Francis versus people that are pro Benedict XVI in the way that they handled their papacy. However, the movie taking sides here, I think, is disingenuous, and I don't like that. So there's also times in the movie that it's very anti-Benedict. So there's comments that are made about him being too rigorous and about him doing terrible things and basically taking shots at Pope Benedict XVI. And I'm like, I don't like that. That's just not cool. But other than that, I mean, there is a lot of, I would say,
a lot of fair discussion to be had about both of them. So even though there are times where it's pro-Francis and anti-Benedict, most of the film, I would say, is actually pretty fair. So kudos to them for being able to make most of it okay, but there are still times where there's some blatant issues going on with it overall. However, even with the history aside, even with whether the story is accurate aside, whether or not this actually happened, whether or not these words were actually spoken, whether or not there was this really tight relationship between the two before Pope Benedict stepped down and Pope Francis became Pope, means very little to me in the fact that the film is just very well done. I mean, this is probably one of the best movies, as far as being well-made films on this list of movies that I've been going through, because it has incredible cinematography. I mean, the camera work is fantastic. They have these scenes where they do close-ups on Jonathan Pryce and on Anthony Hopkins, and you just get to see these actors work, and you get to see them interact with each other and react to what they're saying, and it's just so beautifully well done. The editing to this film, too, is very well paced. You never feel like there's a wasted moment. You never feel like things are dragging. Everything moves at a very nice clip for a film that is roughly 2 hours or so, and it's just very well done, I think. It's just very well put together, very well paced. There are some weird color issues that happen in the film. So at one part of the movie, they go back into the history of Jorge Bergoglio, Pope Francis, and they go into decisions that he made while he was a priest, while he was a bishop. And when they're in the past, they show it in black and white. And I think that was a artistic choice to try and say, oh, look, this is an older time in history. The problem is that they're not consistent with the coloration sometimes. So there's times when they show you black and white, and then at one point in time, it actually fades to color. And at that point, I said, why are you fading to color? What is this trying to convey? I mean, it's like you're trying to be artistic, but you're not making it clear what the artistic value of transitioning from black and white to color is actually going to be. You know, you think about films like Wizard of Oz, where, you're going from this black and white or more of sepia tone of Kansas into this beautifully colorful, amazing position of the Land of Oz, right? That makes sense. That transition from black and white or sepia then to color makes sense. This one just doesn't. So they're in the past, but then there's this color change that happens. So again, it's this weird thing that they're doing with the colors. But that's really the only bad things, like, as far as like the film aspect, not story, but film aspect, that I really had a problem with was that. The last thing I want to talk about, though, and this is what really sold the movie for me and made me fall in love with it, was the acting. I don't think I can remember a time where Anthony Hopkins was just so much in his element. Jonathan Pryce, too. And here's the even cooler part. A lot of the times they're speaking in Latin to each other, and it sounds good. I mean, you can tell that they practiced for it to sound like Latin should. You have Jonathan Pryce giving speeches in either Italian or Portuguese, and it sounds good. They both speak in accents. I would say Jonathan Pryce's accent is much better than Anthony Hopkins. However, both of them still try. And so the whole time I felt like I was watching Pope Francis and Benedict XVI. Like, obviously, I can still tell that they're actors, but because both of them just totally bought into their roles, totally bought into their characters, I believed it. And that's something that's so important when you talk about biographical films like this. If you have actors that don't look the part and don't care about whether they own it or not, you're not going to buy into it. But if you have two characters that are made to look very close to what the actual historical people look like, and also that they actually buy into it with the acting, the mannerisms, the way that Jonathan Pryce walks is very similar to what you would see from Pope Francis today, where he has that slight limp to it. And because of that, and because the acting is so spectacular, I give this film a B+. And it comes down to the fact that I'm willing to let the story elements go, because I honestly don't know how much of this is based off of actual events, how much of it I know that almost all the dialogue between the two is made up, because it's impossible for us to know what these characters talked about when they were alone together. But because the film is just a well-made movie, I have to give it high marks. And so I give this film a B+. Father, I know that you did not like the movie, and I can totally respect the fact that you didn't like it because of historical inaccuracies, because of the content, but it's just a well-made movie. And so this is a film where I think even if you're not Catholic, you would actually be able to enjoy it. If you like two actors that are older, seasoned, know and have their craft memorized and really just are fantastic at what they're doing. And just the whole time I was watching it, I was like, you know what? I want to see these two characters played by Jonathan Pryce and by Anthony Hopkins in a movie that that is, I guess, different. That has a different writer to it. Because I kind of just want to see this story continue. Even though it's set, like if they were to say, this is a fictional universe featuring these characters, I would actually love that. Instead of them trying to go for this is based off historical elements. And at the end of the movie, they make it clear at the credits where they're like, these are obviously inspired by real events. Anything that's portrayed and any lines that are said in here are fictionalized. And so they do make that clear, but I kind of wish that they had this fictionalized universe because I would love to see these two actors coming in again. And also, as you said, it is also something that is original. And that's very rare nowadays that you would have something that's an original film dealing with characters in this way. All right. I've already done my review of Klaus. You can check that out over on the Welcome to Asgard channel. And so the last film that I get to review tonight is Onward. But I want to make sure everyone's doing okay. Is everyone fine? Is everyone okay? We still got 67 people in here. Yes, Hypern, a Pope cinematic universe. That's what I want. Could you imagine if they were to get actors that look like and sound like and buy into playing the roles of like Pope John the 23rd, Pope Paul the 6th, Pope John Paul the 2nd, and you just get them all into a room talking to each other? I would love that. I would actually love that. I would love a Pope cinematic universe. Let's do it. Let's get a papal cinematic universe. We'll call it the PCU. Let's get the PCU going. That's what I have to say. Let's get the PCU going. Have fun with that. Oh, gosh. As Tina's gossiping. Y'all are gossiping behind my back. I see you say that, Tina. Tina and stuff gossiping behind my back. Patooey, how dare you? I'm glad that y'all enjoyed the PCU, though. We got a Pope off going on. Yes. I would love it. Alexander the Sixth. Yeah, let's get into, you know what I want to see? I want to see a story about the Pope that dug up his predecessor. I think it was Pope Stephen the something. He dug up his predecessor, put his predecessor's corpse on trial, and declared his predecessor's corpse a heretic. Talk about a power move. Talk about a power play. That's what I want to see. Pope John Paul Vampire Killer. Yes! Let's get it. A PCU, man. Let us get it going. All right. The last film that I'm going to be reviewing tonight is Onward. So Onward is a film that got a theatrical release a few weeks ago. And because of the events of the beer bug, for lack of a better expression, because YouTube doesn't like when we talk about the real world, it, because of that fact, had to be pulled from theaters, and Disney decided to release the film video on demand for a little while and then put the film out onto Disney Plus. So if you have Disney Plus right now, you can watch it with no extra fees attached to it. And I would say you can skip this movie. If I had to be honest about the movie, I would say you can skip it. So let me just go into some basic premise things. So it deals with this magic-filled world, or at least it was magic-filled, until industrialization took all of the magic out of the world. And that was the first problem that I had with the movie, because it obviously tries to take it into things were so much better before industrialization and capitalism came into the world, where you could turn on a light and you could buy products. And I felt like, and maybe that's me digging too much into it, but I felt like it was very clear in what it was doing. It was trying to have that mindset. I think that's like the main point of the story is, there's so much magic in the world. Isn't it so sad that industry has destroyed that magic? So that's how it starts off. And at that point, oh boy, it didn't start off very well for me. So I put industrial revolution / capitalism is wrong, is what I'm gathering from the very beginning of the movie. And that it destroyed magic is kind of the mindset of what it goes into. So eventually they, in the beginning of the film, they show these different people with magic. They show the wizards. They show, various peoples with the staffs being able to handle it. There's one character that is clearly a ripoff of Gandalf, has the same beard, like Gandalf the Grey has the same beard, has the same hat, has the same everything, and literally the only thing keeping him from being Gandalf was him saying, "Wizard, you shall not pass." That is the only thing missing from it being basically a total ripoff of Gandalf. So I noticed that in the early part when they showed the magic before industrialization and capitalism destroyed everything, by the way. But I will say this much. The animation was very pretty, but when I was watching it, I thought to myself, is Disney Pixar ever going to actually add something new? Because I feel like they've reached this point now where anytime you go into a Disney Pixar film, you expect a certain type of animation, and I just feel like, is it getting old? And that's, I think, the reason why I loved Klaus so much, because Klaus did, I found this out later actually, Klaus actually had hand-drawn animation that was put in together with CG work. And it worked so well together that it just looked fresh. It looked different. It looked unique. And looking at this film, I said, this just looks so generic now because we've gotten so many Disney Pixar films and they all have that same animation style. And so I wrote that down and said, is this getting old, right? Is this animation style getting a little too old? The voice acting, for the most part, very well done. Chris Pratt plays the older brother, who is kind of goofy throughout the film. And then Spider-Man, oh my goodness, why am I blanking out on his name now too? Lord, Spider-Man Homecoming. Yes, right, that's right. I'm doing it live. I'm looking it up live because that's just what I do. And as soon as I see his name, I'm just like, oh, I know this. Tom Holland, there it is. So Tom Holland plays the younger brother. Tom Holland, I think, is the star in this film because he just doesn't really sound a whole lot like itself. He puts on a certain way of speaking. Chris Pratt does to an extent as well, but for the most part, the voice acting is pretty spot on. However, my question and my other issue with the film comes down to it being one thing. Is this supposed to be a kid's movie? Because it doesn't feel like it. Even though, basically, I feel like this film has an identity crisis because there's time in the movie where I think, okay, kids are going to love this. But then there's other times where it goes very dark, very quickly. You know, it deals obviously with the loss of a father. It deals with all the different issues that come up with that. It deals with a kid who's getting not necessarily getting bullied, but a kid who is completely alone and isolated, who has no friends. And he's 16 years old. And so I'm looking at that, I'm thinking to myself, is this supposed to be this dark this early on? Like I said, is this really for kids? It was actually uncomfortable how dark it was because you're surrounded with all of this, Disney-fied fluff, but then they're trying to also shove down this really dark story. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm wondering if this was not doing well, because this was not doing well before everything happened with the beer bug. I'm wondering if one of the reasons why people were not going to see this film was, one, because of the marketing, but also, two, because it was a darker film. Because remember, Dumbo came out last year, or within the last couple of years, and that's been the only Disney live action quotations film that has come out from them that has actually lost money. And one of the reasons why I think it lost money was because it was a darker film. And I'm wondering if that's the reason why Onward also didn't do as well, because it has this darkness to it, but it's almost uncomfortable about how dark it actually is. It's down and depressing, and I don't think that's what a Disney Pixar film should be. It's different when you have a film like Up, for instance, when they tell you this beautiful love story between these two characters, and then you have that dark moment. But the dark moment only lasts for maybe 5 minutes before they start to inject some comedy elements into it, bring some life into it. Onward doesn't really do that. It takes its time. And with a film like this, you really can't take your time spending that much time in darkness and depression, because it just really shouldn't do that. The film also has a very, very boring middle. I actually fell asleep by the middle of the movie because it was very boring. From the beginning, it wasn't very interesting. It was dark and depressing. But then as it goes on, it just is very boring to the point of me falling asleep. And so I had to take care of that once I woke up. But even with that, though, it somehow is able to pull off a beautiful ending. I don't know how it does it. I don't know how any of it works, but there is this ending that they pull off, because the whole premise of the film is that their father has died. Years ago, their father died. The younger brother, voiced by Tom Holland, hasn't ever really been, never really met his father, never really knew his father, while his other brother did. His other brother has a couple of memories. And so basically they find this, or rather their mother gives them this staff, and they find out that their father was a wizard, and that there is a spell that his father wrote that will allow them to see their father for one more day. During the spell, things happen and only half of their father comes back, and you only have the legs of the father, right? And so the whole journey of the film are the two brothers going to try and find this stone that will allow them to say the spell one more time and basically fully complete the father. And so the ending of the film goes in a direction that is different than what you would expect it to be, and it actually is quite beautiful. The problem, though, is that you've got this dark, depressing beginning, this terribly boring middle, and then it all leads to this beautiful ending, and I thought to myself, what in the hell did you do? You had all of the potential in the world, you had a very interesting premise, and you blew it. And you totally blew it. So for this movie, I give it a C-. I think it's definitely one of my least favorite Disney Pixar films to come out. And it has everything to do with the fact that it's got that apparent political messaging it's trying to get about in the very beginning. Because also, at the end of the movie, guess what happens? At the end of the movie, because magic is now back in the world, now we don't have to use our technology as much. Now we can, as one of the cops, for instance, was it a centaur or minotaur? One that's like part horse, part something else. And so in the beginning of the movie, there's a comment made saying, your species used to be able to run 70 miles an hour. And they're like, well, I can drive a car. And so at the end of the movie, he gets called into a case and he says, I don't need to take my car because I can just walk there. I can just run there. So that might be me looking into a little bit, but it has that kind of in the very beginning, it's a lot more obvious, I would say. So there's a political messaging to it in the very beginning, very boring middle to the point of me falling asleep. And then the ending is beautiful. So it's just this cacophony of noise and of madness. And so overall, I think giving the film a C- is fair. I give kudos and props to the voice actors. I give kudos and props to the animation department, because even though the animation has become very sterile at this point, I really hope that the next Pixar movie to come out, Soul, has more soul to it, because you can't just have a good movie because your ending is good when your middle sucks and your beginning is just downright depressing. So those are all the movies that I have to review tonight. So thank you for being patient. You're going to see me eventually cut those reviews up and put them over on the Welcome to Asgard channel. So if you missed any of the reviews, or if you want to hear them again, that is where they will be. Don't know exactly when I'll get to that point, but thank you so much for your patience getting through that. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I know that I don't talk about movies and my reviews of films enough on the main channel with the videos, but again, it's an algorithmic game apparently. But since the algorithm sucks now anyways, who knows? Maybe I'll do my Peanut Butter Falcon movie review on the main channel. All right, so we'll get to a few more comments before wrapping up, because we're at 2:30, 2 hours and 30 minutes, and we got to start wrapping things up. So Hyper says, I bet the new Soul Pixar film won't have soul either. With the current direction they've been going in, doesn't seem like it. Tina says, thanks. Well, thank you very much. And that is going to be it for me, because I'm actually starting to get tired. I still technically haven't eaten dinner yet. So thank you for being here tonight. Please smash the like button before you go. Thank you so much for being here. And also, I want to shout out Out of Step with Reality, because I have not added you into the post credits yet. I'm going to add you into that tomorrow. I had a card with your name on it at the beginning of my video on the channel today. So I'm going to add your name to the end credits at the sometime tomorrow. But I want to shout you out. Thank you for becoming a new Patreon member. I appreciate it very, very much. So Soul Assassin says, time flies when you're having fun, man. I hope that everyone has had some fun. Alex McCarthy says, stream for another 22 hours. No. Anyway. Be safe out there. Be smart. Be awesome. You guys are the best community out there. I love you guys all so much. Bruce, hopefully you're happy. I'm getting through some of the movies that you've been sending me. I don't know exactly how many I've gotten now from your list, from the ones that you've sent me. I'm sure you're keeping track, man. But thank you. Super says, thank you for hosting another stream. Enjoy dinner. Thank you, Super. I appreciate it, man. And Darkstar57 dropping a diamond at the very end. Thank you, sir. Good show as always. Thank you very much, man, for doing that. I appreciate it. D-Live people, y'all stick around. I'll take care of y'all like I normally do. YouTube people, thank y'all for being here. You guys are freaking awesome. Yeah, I love you guys. And have a wonderful day. And as always, God bless. And now a huge shout out to my April Patreon and Subscribe Star members. We have animation commentator Brian P., Dion, Divex, Elizabeth M., Enrique Evangelista, Father Christopher Miller, Hail Father, Frank the Tank and the Shawhan Wiener Dog Clan,
Harold Francis, The Hunker Chunky Funky Monkey, Inflamed Wood, Intertrap Productions, Jason Clark, Jeffrey Toon, J.J. Jonathan Jerembeck, Kenneth Cameo, Lady T, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mike Jackson, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin with the beautiful hair, Orange Hat Reviews, Outpost Dyer, Perpetual Punster, Riff Magos, Rosetta Allen, Steve Glasker, Teresa Martin, Theodore Bendon, The DJD Show, and Tina B. And to my Subscribe members, Robert Revo, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, G2 Cool 99, Dark Star 57, J. Alex McCarthy Jr., US 888209 Fast, Dean Heiss, Harold Francis, J. Rod the Beer Guru, Nevadon G. Adams, and ZK Man. I'm going to go ahead and leave that blank spot just previously in case any more people decide to become a Patreon or Subscribe Star member over the next few days. Just remember that as soon as you sign up, you are immediately eligible for any of the benefits. If you just sign up at the $1 tier on Subscribe Star or Patreon, you get a shout out at the end of every single video, including my live streams. If you're a $5 or up backer on either platform, you get access to exclusive giveaways where I give away several 4K Blu-rays, digital copies every single month as well. If you jump up to the $10 tier on either platform, you get access to all of that, plus you get access to an exclusive podcast that I do with my friend John the Flick Pick of John Flickinger and the Flick Pick fame. We do a bi-weekly podcast, so every 2 weeks or so we do one. So you get probably about 2 or 3 depending on what's going on, probably more so now with everything going on in the craziness of our world. But you do get access to that. Also, if you are at that $10 tier, it means that you get to take part in the Q&A part of that podcast. And so about 24 to 48 hours before the podcast, maybe even longer beforehand, I'll leave a post in the Patreon Subscribe Star. You'll be able to leave a comment on a question that you want us to answer, on a topic that you want us to cover in a future podcast as well. All of that you have access to. And if you're a $25 backer and up, you get all of those things. Plus, you get a t-shirt for your first month. That's right. You get a free t-shirt, high quality Odin's Movie Vlog t-shirt. So just make sure if you're at a $25 and up backer level, you leave your address. That way I know where to send that to. And also I will be messaging you to get your size information. That way I can send that out to you as quickly as possible. But you also get access to an exclusive Chosen of Valhalla live stream that we have once a month on this channel, where I invite you to be on the show. You can either show your face or not show your face, or hey, you don't have to show up at all. It's totally up to you. And we talk about a wide variety of things. We talk about movies that you've been watching, modern things going on, the pop culture, and pretty much anything that you yourself want to talk about. So if any of these things sound interesting to you and things that you'd want to do, please hit that Patreon Subscribe Star link in the description of this video and think about joining today. Have a wonderful day, everybody. And as always, God bless.